KRueG Show Sunday night. Oh, man, that was a rough loss. Whew. All right, we're getting it rolling. We're happy to be back on the KRueG Show. Dan Coach Emilio, bottom box. The man to my left is the great Ryan Smith. This is the KRueG Show. It does say Tales from the Bay on the bottom there, but don't be confused by that. That's just another podcast that Ryan and I do on the 49ers in London. And we did a little post game today in London. So thank you to all the people at Talk Sport 2. It was great to recap the 49ers with you, despite the fact it was a bone-crushing, soul-crushing defeat. And a reminder that Jimmy Garoppolo is as flawed as Trey Lance, so people can sit there and pick apart Trey Lance. They wanted Jimmy, they got Jimmy, and be careful what you wish for. This is exactly what Jimmy is. Was he rusty? Okay, I guess. I'll read into that. I mean, there's lots of different ways, guys, you can look at this game. First of all, one that you guys both are keenly aware of. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. You both watched a ton of football. When you're -3 in turnovers, you don't win. You don't win in the NFL -3 in turnovers. So
and that's
thanks,
not even
everybody.
counting the safety.
That's the KRueG Show. He's Ryan Smith. That's Dan Coach Emilio. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Have a great night.
Yeah.
No, I mean, seriously, we could duck out on that alone, right? Because, you don't win when you turn the ball over three times. Then, number 2, third down's the quarterback down. And the 49ers were 1 for 10 on third down conversions. They did not convert a third down until the fourth quarter. And I'm not making that up. So
no, I didn't even get to see one because I was driving over to your place. So I heard it, but I didn't even get to see a third down conversion.
The most valuable guy on the team tonight, your buddy, Mitch Wishnowsky.
Oh, I know. He's feeling fresh.
4-yard punt.
Yeah.
What's his nickname? Ride knows Mitch Wishnowsky from one of your buddies, right? You guys went on some trip together. So you're cool with Mitch Wishnowsky.
Yeah, I'm pretty cool with Mitch. You know what I is funny is like we played bunch of spike ball together when we were hanging out, and I've never seen such a spike ball play in the NFL. That one that our boy Sammy Womack got when he tipped it back. That was incredible. And then how about when they were like, that's like, I think the announcers were like, you can see like the basketball influence on some of these guys nowadays. I don't know if Sammy played basketball. And I was thinking in my mind, I know he played basketball because he said to us in the interview that he did play basketball and it was his first sport. So I felt like I was a real smart guy there for that 1 second.
I'm looking for here we go. We've got our first donation of the night. Oh, can you pot up my board here? I guess I potted it down myself. There we go. Let me try it again. There we go. Try it again. Try it again. All right. So we can have this going all night. That Niner guy donates $5. He says, hey, and he's very succinct. He says, "Hey, fellas, what an S show." All right, so let's go around the room and think of what S word could be. Danny,
well, I only see two asterisks, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't see
maybe. Sad show. Sad. Hey,
sad
fellas,
show.
what a sad show. I think we're big boys enough. We can handle sad. You can just type in SAD. We're good. We're all grown ups here. Yeah. What a sad show is what he's trying to say.
Yeah, sad show. Maybe a Sid show. Sid. Maybe he's thinking about Sid Luckman. I don't know. Maybe he was thinking about Jimmy and Sid Luckman. You think?
Oh, maybe it's SUS. What a sus show.
Was sus.
I could see my 13-year-old dad. Niners are sus. my 13-year-old gave me a hug tonight after the game and was like, "Man, Dad, what do we got now?" I'm like, "Hey, it's all right, big dog.
The Niners are sus and Jimmy G's
right.
totally mid.
It's only week 3. He's this kid's he's 13. He's got 4 fantasy teams. 4. I mean, I go, Chris, you're rooting for and against basically every single player in the league.
Digital Drew says, I came here to trash Jimmy and Kyle, not play Wordle.
We will get there. We will get there. But we get a donation tonight.
Did we freeze?
I just found myself. Wait, Dan, are we the only ones left in the Matrix?
Yeah.
I see you.
Oh. Larry froze for a minute.
Maybe it's been that kind of week on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right. But I mean, overall, rough.
Dan, I still see you.
Yeah, I'm here.
7 penalties, 267 total yards on 14 offensive drives. If anybody gets on any radio station tomorrow, anything all about defense, they should just be summarily fired on the spot. You had 267 total yards. Garoppolo was the circus, walking out of the back of the end zone. Kyle took the blame. That was totally on Jimmy. That's as lame as the NBA guy who steps out of bounds voluntarily. There's no defending it. Know the courts. Now, granted, it's a different situation. You're backed up into your own end zone. There's not a lot of room between you and the rush. But I mean, you got I don't know. What else can you say on that one? That was a crushing play. But just the inaccuracies, no offensive rhythm to speak of at all in the second half. I mean, none. They had one clean offensive drive the entire night. Denver's got a pretty good D. DJ Jones was really good early, and Surtain made some plays, and Jewel made some plays.
Hey, Larry, sorry to interrupt you, but your Wi-Fi is it's really funky right now. Len is asking through the chat if you're in fact hardwired. I believe you were when I left. I believe you were hardwired.
I am hardwired. I'm dongled, if that's what you mean. Talk amongst yourselves for a second.
Dongled. Okay, all right. Well, I see Russell. I'm going to come. I know that this is not what people want right now, but I'm going to come with a little positivity off the top. I think this Niners defense is an all-timer, fellas. I think this is absolutely, we're looking at an all-time defense. I mean, if you take away the second half monsoon and the busted plays, I mean, this defense really.
I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem. This defense hasn't given up anything. And I mean, the secondary, how many times, I'm so used to Russell Wilson when he drops back and it's like, oh my God, the rush isn't there right away. It's like, oh my God, he's going to find Lockett. He's going to find Metcalf. It's going to be a freaking bomb. Instead, we got some, I'm not supposed to say the Niners got coverage sacks today. It was kind of insane. I'm just not used to that. And the fact that Jimmy Ward isn't even there and Armstead was out, I don't know. My takeaway from this game, I thought this was going to be a really close game. I think my literal prediction was, and it was pretty close. My prediction was that the Niners would win by 2, but that there would be a late drive by Russell Wilson to score a touchdown and that he would go for 2 and they wouldn't get it. And so that the Niners would win by 2. You take the safety out, that is what happened. And so I'm going to stay positive here. I think this was a horrible spot for the Niners in that I thought there was a lot of Jimmy momentum going into this game, which is why I picked the Niners. But for Denver, I mean, they were booed at home after Russell Wilson crapped the bed in Seattle. And Denver pretty much played like we did those first two games, where it was, all the yardage stats, all that, it all said that they dominated the games. But if all it takes is looking at turnovers, third downs, and red zone proficiency. All 3 of those were crap for them. And tonight it was crappy for the Niners. And I just, I think I don't know. I'm feeling pretty confident going into the Rams game. I know 1-2 is not great. It's not a great start to the season, but we went through the schedule. We thought that the Niners were going to rip off a bunch of wins here. It's just, I thought that the Niners were going to lose the Rams game if they beat Denver. Now that they lost to Denver, I think they beat the Rams. So I think we're going to end up 2-2. I'm just going to take a little step back on the whole Jimmy thing. One, because, I guess you got to say maybe, look at the tape or whatever first, like the all 22. But I don't know, man. It seemed like his whole thing is time and rhythm passing, and it didn't seem like he had any rhythm or timing with any of these guys. I saw him.
Yeah, they were
out.
Hey, it's hard to look at the tape and watch the game and say, Jimmy didn't stink up the joint. He did.
He certainly in the second half. I thought the first half he actually played pretty well.
Yeah, first half wasn't bad. He really looked bad the second half. He looked out of rhythm, out of sync. Hey, for everybody who is ripping Jimmy, I get it. You're frustrated, but it's really his first week he spent with the first team. Yeah, he's been there for years, but it takes time to get your timing down. That's why they do OTAs. That's why they have long.
I think that's why we didn't see Danny Gray out there. Unfortunately, the guy, I'm sure we're just going to keep calling for him because it's like he's the fastest guy on the field, and he provides this completely different aspect to the offense. And I'm sure they just felt like his timing's not down with Danny Gray. I wish I didn't really love the play calling tonight. It felt like the Jeff Wilson broke that one for like 45 yards. And once that happened, and the threat of the kind of classic Shanahan running back breaking through the line, hitting an explosive play that way, really opened up the offense. Now, unfortunately, Jeff Wilson kind of, he's put in a tough spot. It was a lot of just kind of run. Okay, some penalties. All right, now we got third down. And, I guess what I would say is, Jimmy, nobody thinks that Jimmy's Aaron Rodgers. It's Jimmy's an average quarterback, and I still think they can win the Super Bowl with that average quarterback. He played below average today. Some games he's going to play above average, but he's an average quarterback, and I think it's only going to get better as the season goes along. So,
yeah, and we do have some. Let's get to some of these super chats so we don't get too far behind.
See, Calba, you cannot be more on, dude. That is seriously. The defense was playing a double header out there. After the first quarter, I believe it was. I was driving in the car over to Lairs, and it was like 22 minutes of possession for the Broncos and 9 minutes for the Niners or something like that.
The first half, it was pretty. It was pretty brutal. The Niners were on the field, the defense constantly. They played an unbelievable game. The team speed on defense is unbelievable.
Gang tackling, oh my God.
The corners pressing man on man. Even Chris Collinsworth mentioned that the Niners haven't had the corners to be able to actually do one-on-one coverage in the past. This year they do, and so they're able to cover, and it's a long season. It stunk tonight. They're 1-2. The good thing is next week they got the Rams, and they can win and be tied for first in the division.
Yeah.
So,
can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, you're looking crystal clear.
All right, look at that. Calva says Niners 2022 defense and special teams are the best I've seen in this era. It shouldn't take much from the offense to win games, but they can't keep the defense on the field that much.
Yeah, we just covered.
Yeah. What can you guys say about this one other than the 49er offense is just – it's out of sync. Now, is it out of sync because Garoppolo didn't practice? Is it out of sync because the offensive line is struggling? One thing that was effective for Denver tonight was when they lined up Chubb and Gregory on the defensive left side to take advantage of McGlinchey and stay away from Trent. That was effective. That definitely worked for Denver. So the 49er offensive line, it all starts there. But man, Garoppolo, I just thought, I don't know if you guys have already covered this or how much you talked about it, but he was just so up all over the place. He was low, he was high, he was behind. The ball wasn't coming out on time. And there was times in the first half where he had time to throw. So
I really think it's an issue. One, Jimmy does that at times and has a history of throwing the ball high. He's usually pretty good at putting it on target over the middle, but he was off tonight. I got to believe the timing, working with the receivers, the fact that this is the first week he's spent all year working with the first team receivers. He was doing scout team for a couple of weeks once they decided when they actually signed him. But other than that, he was working on the side by himself. The reason you have OTAs during the year and the reason you have a long practice in the summer, to get ready for the season is because guys don't just show up for work a week before the season starts and they're ready to go, even if they've been with the organization for 5 years. It takes a month to get your timing down. And that's all I can really say about this is because he looked as bad as I've ever seen him as far as timing and throws that were easy throws. So it does take some time. We saw Aaron Rodgers stink up the joint last year in the first game of the season. This year, the first game of the season, Aaron didn't have a great game. Guys don't play much during the, preseason. This is really Jimmy's kind of first week. So am I going to defend him all year long if he looks like this? No. But I will say give him a couple of weeks. And after the first month, if he looks like this, then I'll be saying probably time to pull him.
Well, it's not just Jimmy, but I mean, the whole offense looked really sloppy.
Yeah.
Really sloppy. And then, I think you got to decide who is the backup left tackle. If Jalen Moore is the backup left tackle, then coach him up and get him ready to go. The way they
yanked him and put in
McKivitz. Yeah. I mean, they pulled him from McKivitz, and it's like, if McKivitz is the guy you trust, go with McKivitz.
Yeah, I don't understand. McKivitz was in there last year against the NFC Championship game, or
no, that I mean, you had Tom Compton at right tackle last year, and you made it all the way to the NFC Championship game, as you just said. So, it's like I'd rather go with a technician veteran who you can trust instead of a prospect when your quarterback's health is really riding on it. Todd Jersey Architecture Incorporated says, here's $4.99. And he says, I really hate Kyle. Which Kyle do you think he's talking about?
Kyle. I'm thinking Kyle Posey, but I could be wrong.
From Niners Nation? Is it Kyle Posey?
I think Kyle Shanahan. I think he means Kyle Williams from 2012.
Maybe he sent this in 2012, and just because our connection was a little slow tonight, we just got it just now. Maybe that's Kyle Williams, the Arizona State 3 fumbles in the NFC Championship game. I understand the people's frustration with Kyle because Kyle is an offensive coach, and his teams, for the most part, during his regime, have been, teams that have gotten by with really strong defense. And you expect them to dominate offensively. I think everybody was hoping that he would bring what he had with the Falcons, where they were this overpowering offense, here to San Francisco. Now, maybe it's all tied to the right quarterback and the right weapons and the right year. But, man, you look at this team. They've got Ayuk. They've got Debo. They've got Juwan Jennings. By the way, how amazing was the sideline pass? Or how I want to say amazing, lucky. The Garoppolo to Juwan Jennings with the defender draped all over Jennings, and he still completed it. I mean, that was an amazing catch, an amazing throw, and also could have very easily been a pick six. So
it looked like it when he left. It was like, oh no. but he got it right in there.
The thing with Garoppolo that's the most painful, guys, is it's the same mistake. That's the part that I mean, if Trey Lance had been as inaccurate as Garoppolo was today, or did the kinds of things, could you imagine the reaction coast to coast if Trey Lance had walked out of the back of the end zone? People would have used that as like, Jimmy may have his flaws, but he would never do that. And that's exactly what Jimmy did in this game. But the one that really stood out to me was, Garoppolo to Debo, deflected into the interception by Jonas Griffith. I mean, he's throwing late into the middle, into double coverage after he stared it down with defenders all over the place. And it's just, yeah, I mean, it's one of those 50-50 balls, but is it really a 50-50 ball? I mean, he's got defenders everywhere and he's taking a hit and the ball's popping up.
I would love to see the screen on the replay and see what the rest of the field looked like, because
I would too.
I want to see was there guys that were wide open, or were the guys being covered? Because to throw that ball, was that to Ayuk? I think it was. Was that one?
Well, you talking about the first half one where he missed the touchdown?
One that picked off at the end of the game there. With a few minutes.
No, it's Debo. He's going to Debo.
He's going to Debo. That's right. I couldn't remember. Yeah. So, I mean, I want to see where Ayuk was, where Kittle was, where Jennings was, because he kind of zeroed in on that throw, and I'd like to see what was the field looked like. I'll have to go back and look at it. So, there's a lot of people commenting here. We've got another super chat here from Russell. He says, stop with this OTA preseason excuse stuff. He has missed more of it before and been better, sadly. Stop. Well, Russell, thank you for the $5. I think
I love that level of frustration, by the way. That's good.
I hear your frustration. I hear your frustration, but it does take timing. I mean, if you've ever played football, you know that working with quarterbacks and receivers, it takes a while. I mean, I was a receiver, and we worked out, and it takes a while. It takes a while to get the feel of everything. And Jimmy probably should know better because he's been in the league and played, but he looks rusty. He did. He looked very, very rusty, like he was unsure of himself a few times out there. Stepping out of the end zone, I don't know what was going through his head. I mean, you got to know where you're at in that situation. I really don't know if the
he looked like he lost his location, like where he was.
Well, yeah, the rush was coming.
He had both feet out, and he was still moving back before he even noticed.
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't like he hit his heels and all of a sudden he noticed. He was like, he had half of his foot and half of both of his feet on the white before I'm out. The whole
it wasn't as bad as Orlovsky's, but Orlovsky was running down the back side of it and just was still running for like 3 seconds, and Jared Allen was laughing at him.
The one that really burned, the one that really was bad was when he had the 3rd and 3 on his own 45 in the second quarter, maybe late first quarter. And he goes to Ayuk against Surtain, and Surtain's their best corner. And Surtain was draped all over Ayuk, and it was out of an empty set. And it was I think it was completed, or it was incomplete. It was incomplete on 3rd and 3, and they had to punt on the next play. But they showed on the replay, Debo just wide open on the other side of the field, waving his arms. I mean, that's one right there. You sit there and go, oh, man, in a game where there was hardly any scoring, that would have put the 49ers at that point up 14-0. And, could have changed the whole outlook of this thing. There were a lot of positives. I mean, Hufanga continues to make amazing plays. Drake Jackson had a phenomenal sack on a 3rd and 16 play. On a terrific stunt where he just came firing around right into the quarterback's face. Jackson looks for real. He's got a big future. It's a high ankle sprain for Trent Williams. Yeah, so we're talking 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, and it's an injury he's dealt with before. I mean, I got scared. I had people DMing me on Twitter saying it's an ACL, which just freaked me the hell out. So then when I found out it was a high ankle sprain, it was like,
give him 4 weeks.
The Aziz is an MCL sprain. That's what Kyle said. Or MCL. No, he didn't say sprain. MCL. They'll do the MRI. They'll find out if it's a sprain.
Yeah, depending on what level here. One of the questions I have for people out here that make comments like this: What do you want to do? I mean, what do you want to just get rid of Jimmy right now and then just go with a rookie quarterback in week 4? Is that what you throw out these things, but what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, there's not always Dan, just, welcome to sports radio. We don't have a solution for everything that we bitch about. That's for sure. I understand where the people are coming from.
I understand the bitching, but come up with a solution.
The solution is that, first of all, I think it's a fair discussion to ask the question if the 49ers bungled this whole quarterback thing from start to finish, as far as what they were looking for, were they going to be real with themselves? It's like they chose a prospect that has the highest upside, I think, of all of the quarterback prospects, has a world of potential, but also was the most inexperienced by a wide margin. And, we had an NFL GM said he couldn't even have had him on the board because he couldn't evaluate him because there wasn't enough throws to go by. And yet the 49ers invested all the draft capital and moved up, got Trey Lance. Now, you can question that. I actually like that move. I like that of the picks that were out there. I thought it was a good choice. But then it's a matter of, okay, you have a very raw prospect and you have expectations of trying to win the Super Bowl every year. So when is this super raw prospect going to be given the runway to actually improve? So even if he hadn't gotten hurt, you get the feeling that between the fan base, the media, and the team's expectations, that there was the pressure was going to mount on young Trey Lance, and he wasn't going to be able to handle that. I mean, it just seems like he's such a neophyte. He's so new. He's so raw. It's going to take time. But do the 49ers, are they ever going to have – I can't even picture at this point, and tell me if you can, but I can't even picture the 49ers ever showing enough patience, that the patience that's going to be required to see the Lance thing through to completion. So now we're looking at Garoppolo, who we know is flawed. And what did we see today? What we've seen before. That's the part that makes you go, wow. Makes you rub your head and go, wow, because we've all seen this before. Late in the down, over the middle, not account for the defenders, float it into a crowd, turn it over under pressure, anticipate pressure when it isn't there. Don't anticipate the pressure when it's right in your lap and suddenly, there's a defender right on you. I mean, he's just very inconsistent in almost everything that he does. Would it have helped if they had committed to, bringing him back sooner and giving him more reps? Perhaps, right? But is that just 2020 hindsight at this point? I think ultimately what they got to do is they just got to maximize his reps, and they got to really hone in on maybe a smaller portion of what they do and get on the same page on something. And maybe the playbook is so vast they need to trim it down for a month and just perfect 30% of what they've tried to get perfected, in previous weeks. Not dumb it down because you've got veteran players, but just to try to throw more reps in practice at the same plays where you can master them a little bit, and so you can be efficient when the pressure's on. I mean, they should have won this game. They should have won the Chicago game. The defense has played incredible in both games. The offense is no-showed. once with Trey and now with Jimmy. And, with Trey, what's it going to be? It's going to be, he doesn't throw a real catchable ball. He doesn't always see things. There's a lot of negative plays. They're running him a ton. He's taking all these hits, but he also has big playability. But what does it equate to? Equates to like a middle of the road guy right now, maybe a little less. Jimmy, what's he look like? Well, at his best, he looks pretty good, but what he normally is kind of sprays it around. He's not that accurate. Doesn't anticipate the rush. Anticipates pressure when there's none. I mean, it's just
he also looks very slow-footed right now. You saw him get sacked there back at the.
He's not as mobile as Trey, and he's operating behind the same
really
questionable line.
He easily went down on that sack at the end of the game before Wilson fumbled, put him, back at the 3-yard line. He looks slower than he did last year or years previous. Just again, I think I'll say it again. It does. Reps matter. Reps matter when you're not playing, when you have been in rehab for, the entire off season. And all you've had is just throwing balls to, whether it be a target or person, but you're not doing a lot of stuff. The agility looks off. Everything looks off.
Do you think that's what we're seeing? Did they incorporate him a little too late into what they're doing, and now they're trying to kind of race to get him up to speed?
I don't think they expected him to be in playing in week 2. I mean, they probably figured he would get practice, for 6-8 weeks, see how Trey does. And if Trey doesn't get the job done in the first 6 to 8 weeks, they'd go to Jimmy. But he's out there in week 2 and he looks rusty. I mean, a guy that just walked right out of the end zone. I mean,
I know, and it's not something that you see. I mean, Matt Wright donates $4.99. He says Kyle's play calling has been sus these first 3 games. Jimmy stinks, but he looks even worse when the play calling is predictable. What do you guys think?
Well,
what do you think of Kyle's play calling?
My question is, because I actually thought he played, going back and watching the tape, I actually thought he played pretty well last week. So I just asked myself, so what's the real difference between last week and this week? And I mean, last week, he said it after, it was closer to 2017 where, he came in. Yes, I'm sure they ran some of the same stuff they did last year, but it was a little more, Jimmy just kind of here, dude, just kind of go out and make plays. And, it looked much more comfortable. Today, it felt like, all right, Jimmy, it's time to run the Shanahan offense. We're doing quick passes. You're getting the thing out right away. And it just seemed like, I don't know. It just seemed like he didn't have a good connection with any of the receivers, specifically Ayuk. Seemed like he was just off with him all day. I saw them talking, and it seemed like Jimmy was kind of, barking at him a little bit. And then Debo, it felt like almost like they didn't trust. All the Debo stuff seemed like it was runs, screens. There's none of that real timing rhythm passing.
Well,
so
it's like they need him in the backfield for his dynamic nature. How about that?
Yeah. Then
this guy isn't better though.
Thomas Scholl donates $1.99. He says, Larry, would you want Sean Payton? Is that gonna? Do we immediately have to go to the divorce? This is like Thomas. I want to use you as an example of America right now. Do we have to throw everybody away? I mean, does the offense look like S? Yeah. Can you question Kyle on a number of things? Sure. But I mean, weren't they just in the NFC Championship game?
No,
weren't they been in a Super Bowl? I mean, this team was wandering around in the dark with Chip Kelly not that long ago. And now they get a couple tough losses to begin this year. And do you want Sean Payton? I mean, I like Sean Payton. I think Sean Payton's a good coach. Would it be an upgrade? I mean, that's debatable. How much longer does Sean Payton want to do it? He's an older guy. I like the idea of Kyle Shanahan getting it done. And I'm a person that believes that your players win in pro sports. And it's once they get the right combination of players, that's when they'll win. I don't necessarily put it on Kyle. I don't know. How do you guys, what is your thought when you hear people calling, suggesting either directly or indirectly that Shanahan should be replaced?
I think it's ridiculous. I think it's kind of crybaby. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, if you talk to most franchises in the NFL, they would kill to be in the Super Bowl 2 years ago and be in or whatever it was 3 years ago, and NFC Championship last year, and just be a play away in both of them. Not feel like, oh wow, you know what, we made it here, but it was kind of lucky and we got blown out. No. They had leads, big leads in both of those games. People would kill for that. Just to have their name, people like, Colin Cowherd or whatever talking about their team. Shanahan's completely turned this organization around. I know that he doesn't run the defense, but I mean, the guy's the head coach. He deserves some credit for picking the right people and putting the right people in the right positions. And, I would entertain, the discussion of getting rid of the coach, but it's not yet. Not yet. I mean, I'm sure in Boston they're doing the same thing about Belichick right now.
I would say check back a year from now at the same time. Let's see what this rest of the season does.
I would. Yeah, I'm not ready to even talk about that right now. If after 17 games and Jimmy stays healthy and he doesn't go down, and the 49ers finish 5-12 or something, 6-11, and they just stink up the joint, maybe you start having that conversation.
Look at last year, right? I mean, I was there. Yeah. I'm not losing my mind. I know I was there. I saw Colt McCoy complete 85% of his passes. That same 49er team came one win away from the Super Bowl.
Like one play.
The best of times, the worst of times, there can be a lot of ugly moments in the NFL for sure.
Season.
I mean, there's a great lesson in there in that if you want to start betting, if you want to start gambling your hard-earned money on NFL teams, what you do is you don't overreact to a single game. Because like last year, for example, when they were 2-4, I still thought they were going to be a playoff team. I thought they would be absolutely in the mix. I didn't think there was any team that was significantly better than them once they got to the playoffs. I still felt like they were going to make the playoffs.
Defense is
too Niners good. 100-1 before that Rams game when they were 2-4. This Denver team, everyone thought this Denver team was trash. I mean, and it's just the narrative. I mean, the narrative now on the Niners is going to be, oh, Jimmy G can't get it done. Well, guess what? Time to bet on the Niners, baby. I'm betting on the Niners next week, 100% versus the Rams.
Really? All right. Miguel donates $1.99. He says, why the F? What is F? Why the F? Why the F is Jimmy G smiling after that performance? Does it really matter if he smiles or not? Does it matter? I mean, I
understand. Act like they're not human beings. They have friends on the other side.
You want them to be miserable? You just want them to go up there and be like, "Oh man, this sucks."
My bad.
Does it bother you that Jimmy G, smiled at the presser?
No, not at all. I mean, he was smiling in the post game, but it's like I get it as a fan. Like you look at everything and you break it down like the Zapruder film. But at the end of the day, like it's not like there's all these conspiracies and that Jimmy doesn't care. It's like Jimmy's playing for his contract, man. He's playing for all these guys.
There's people complaining because when he went for the handshake with the Broncos, he was talking to one of the Broncos and he was laughing and smiling. It's like, guys,
Jimmy's not all in. He's
not all in. He's on the other team. He's
a Benedict Arnold.
He's a plant. Yeah,
he's a traitor.
I for one, once I saw Drake calling and congratulating and laughing, Steph Curry calling Drake after the Toronto finals, I was like, man, I knew that Steph Curry was just doing it for the money and the fame, man. He didn't care at all.
These guys, one thing you got to understand, these guys, some of them played to college together. Some of them were ex-teammates. They meet up. After the battle is over, these guys respect one another, and it's time to let your guard down. You gave it your all and didn't work out. If you ever played sports, you'd know that. So cut it out.
I mean, plus there's ex-Niners on the other team. I mean, exactly. It's DJ Jones, K'Wan Williams.
Yeah, I mean, come on, guys. I mean, people looking for everything. Like, oh, he's smiling. He doesn't care. Come
Come on, let's move on.
I think
to
Miguel's
this.
right. I think Jimmy doesn't care at all, and
Jimmy doesn't care.
him smiling is an indication that he's not only not trying to win, he's intentionally trying to lose. Ryan Fitzgerald says, "Here's $4.99."
Hey, we got
Dorsey,
the video, right?
Dorsey showed
I sent it to
more
you today.
emotion on the last play of the Bills game than Shanahan has in 6 seasons. Did you see Ken
That's
Dorsey of Miramani, the mild-mannered Ken Dorsey, former backup quarterback of the 49ers and just a really good guy? I mean, I've interviewed him, I think, as a really nice young kid. He's emerged as one of the top young coaching prospects. Did you guys see him lose it when Josh Allen could not get the ball spiked? If they get the ball spiked, they get the Tyler Bass field goal. They get the field goal, they probably win the game. It's hours and hours. It's probably 100+ hours of work, blood, sweat, and tears of Dorsey's. He's seeing it go down the toilet. And I just loved it, man. Just the intensity. Do we have that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can put it up. I guess there's probably no copyright on that, right?
Is there audio?
No.
I don't think so. Let me see.
See if you can find it.
Yeah, there is audio.
I
Turn it
got it.
down. Turn the audio down.
I got it.
All right.
Yeah, pretty incredible footage, though. And somebody on that Bill staff said, all right, that's all you're going to see. Here we go. Here's Kenny right here. Headsets go. Here comes the notes. Trashing the notes. Trashing the boards.
Oh,
Look
man.
at that. Slamming it down. Oh, I mean, just killing his stuff.
And then there's the what do they call those things? The Microsoft, what do they call them? The
Tablet, Surface, or whatever.
Surface. Yeah, that the NFL just came out last week, so they were going to be fining for people damaging their equipment.
Imagine if you took the job that you do, whatever it is that you do, and you were going to be harshly judged if you failed. You were going to be applauded heavily if you succeeded, and you invested, let's say, 2.5 times more time in your job than you currently do. So if each one of us worked 2.5 times more at whatever we're doing than these guys worked, and it was just you had that finality of you failed or you won, you succeeded, then there's nothing in between. There's literally nothing in between. You succeeded or failed, and it's all riding on, a hot day. I mean, the guys were cramping up. I don't know how much you guys watched the Bills. Dolphins
Yeah,
today.
it was awesome.
It was epic. It was epic, and it was like the Bills were dragging from the mid-first quarter, and they're just so damn good anyway that they were there hanging at the end. But what? And then the Dolphins are going to have to answer for how Tua came back in, because I don't know if you've ever done that, but I remember playing freshman football and having my head hit the back of the ground, and man, it just rocks your brain. And it's like he was wobbling, he could barely walk, and then suddenly he's finishing the game.
They said it was his back. He said it was his back, but
really, do you believe that? I mean, that's going to be an interesting little thing to follow this this week.
Also,
for sure.
I'm glad that Jimmy G, he didn't have the worst situation happen in the end zone today. The freaking, how many times did you just with Mitch Wishnowsky back there? It's like after watching the butt. What do they do? I think people are calling it the butt punt.
You mean the one that got blocked by the guy?
I texted my son if the headline would have been if Buffalo would have come down and kicked the winning field goal. Here's what the headline would have been. Let me see. I wrote. I'm trying to remember what I said. Where did I put it?
While Danny's looking for stuff.
Yeah.
Glass half full guy. Was Gabe Kapler coaching tonight? Did you guys read that one?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Here's the headline. If the Dolphins would have lost, if Dolphins lose, Dolphins kick themselves in the ass.
Oh, Danny, you could get a job at the Post.
Hey, we didn't get this super chat. Russell was, I think he's speaking to me. Hey, Russell J. I guess am I the 2022 rookie? Ask your co-host Jimmy doesn't have OTAs or preseason or blah, blah. Just Asher co-host. Sheesh. That's why he stepped out. Okay.
Well, I mean, come on. The guy's played a lot of football at this point, right? I mean, Jimmy G has been around the league. He's prepared to be in multiple Super Bowls. I mean, not only that, he's been prepared by some of the better NFL coaching staffs, right? You got to think Belichick's got a pretty comprehensive game plan week to week, and Shanahan is kind of known for his complexity. So, I mean, he's seen a lot of football. I mean, that one's on him. Kyle owned it and said, hey, I put him in a bad spot, but I think that's just coach trying to cover his
some of
quarterback.
These people, that, I mean, hey, we can all say he didn't play well. Especially the second half. He looked he didn't look good at all.
He hasn't looked great, really. He threw for 52 yards in the second half against Seattle. People acted like it was great. They won the game. It's amazing how if you win the game, people will just look away from how it went. But if you lose the game, it's like we start to examine it.
I thought he did pretty well.
52 yards is what he threw for in the second half. 52.
I mean, I'm just going by what what I saw and then what Baldinger and Cosell said.
Yeah. I mean,
you guys know 52 yards. I mean, in a half of football, but that means it's 104 total yards for the game.
I think he only had like 7, or he didn't have very many pass attempts, probably
in a September game in California. So, I mean, it's not like it's, there's going to be harsh weather late in the year. I don't know. It wasn't. My point is, look at the weapons they have. They've got a lot of weapons. They've got Ayuk, they got Debo, they got Kittle, they got backs, they got, they've got weapons, and they should be producing more offense than they're producing. What's the issue? Is it Jimmy's rustiness? Is it his inaccuracy? Is it Kyle's play calling is unimaginative? Are they not taking advantage of the talent the way they need to? Well, I personally would like to see a little bit more Jordan Mason. To me, he runs hard. He's a big back. He's 230 pounds, and he runs hard. Now, I know there was some question of could he handle the pressure, national TV, that kind of thing, making his first start or first, playing time. But, he looked good in the one run. It would have been nice to see him touch the ball a little bit.
I just wonder what people will say if Jimmy comes back next week and has a good game. They beat the Rams. Are we still going to get the same people, donating and saying he's trash and this? Or will they donate and say, hey, here's $5. I was wrong. Guys, have bad games. He's still, after tonight, he is now 37-17, I believe. Yeah,
he's like 1-4 versus Russ. Not that really means anything, but
so
Russell J says, "Here's $5. Thanks for keeping those super chats lined up. A few of us have something we want to say." Absolutely, Russell. Fire away. And he says again here, "Can you guys hear me now?" Here's another $2. We can hear you, Russell. We can hear you, buddy. Digital Drew, $4.99. Before we crown the D, keep in mind that they played two bad teams. When one struggling team, they're good, but next week should tell us quite a bit. Yeah, that's the other thing about the defense. I thought they did a really, really nice job against Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon for the most part. But give Denver credit. They stuck with the run. They were very patient. It was a very physical, hard-hitting game at the line of scrimmage. I guess I'd like to see a little bit more production out of guys like Fred Warner, Javon Kinlaw. It just seemed like, I don't know, especially with Aziz down, I'd like to see some more bigger plays from the defense. I mean, Bosa looks terrific. Drake looks pretty damn good. Givens is playing with his hair on fire. They've got some guys who are really firing. Menahue's playing at a high level. But they just got to get everybody going at the same time. I'll tell you the other thing that I noticed, and you heard Collinsworth kind of comment on it in this game, is that the Niners and D'Amico have changed it up. They're letting Mooney Ward and Emmanuel Mosley man it up outside against Judy and Sutton. And for the most part, I mean, they kept them in check. I mean, Sutton made some catches for sure. But, I think it's an interesting way now. They're going to basically trust their corners to play one-on-one out on the perimeter. which means that they've got, more guys for other areas of their defense, and that, more guys inside. They don't have to worry about helping their corners. So that means that they're improved man-to-man wise, and that means they're going to play more man-to-man, and that means they can mix it up a little bit more and be a little bit more, mysterious of what their defense is going to be down to down, series to series, game to game. So I think that was a good sign just to see, Mooney Ward play at a really high level, and Mosley's playing at a pretty high level. So
yeah, Larry, you know what? That was when you stepped away. I brought that up. I'm so conditioned, even with this great Niners defense, even in 2019, I'm conditioned. Russell Wilson's back in the pocket. If the rush doesn't get there within, 2-3 seconds, I'm conditioned to, oh my God, Russ is about to find Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf deep for a bomb. But instead, just nothing. And then all of a sudden he's sacked. And it's like, then they're talking about it on the broadcast. It's like, yeah, that was a coverage sack. That was a coverage sack. We never saw coverage sacks.
Yeah.
They never. What? Time machine. I was a wee last year.
So what Jason donates $5, says bring back Ken Dorsey to run the offense. He can't possibly do worse.
He's going to make a great head coach for somebody. That's for sure. But I mean, and I'm not ready to jump off the Shanahan bandwagon that soon. I believe that he's a really good offensive mind, but it's time to tighten it up. It's time to tighten it up. Maybe that means cut down the mass of the playbook and do fewer things, simplify, and try to master fewer concepts. Maybe that means, getting your quarterback and, having him do more mental reps. But yeah, Garoppolo looked, his feet looked really, really uncertain. There was a lot of pitter patter in the pocket. He looked kind of panicky. Denver does have good defensive backs and their coverage is good. So, there aren't going to be guys wide open down the field. There weren't. Denver's a good defensive team, and they've got the two edge rushers and a little bit of speed at, a couple linebackers are pretty fast, and then 2 or 3 really good defensive backs who can cover. And they did a good enough job. But I just think if you go through that with a fine tooth comb and just go down by down and throw by throw, what you're going to find is that Garoppolo was a circus as far as his accuracy. He was high, he was low, he was early, he was late. What he wasn't is on time and accurate. Very, very rarely was he on time and accurate. And that's a big part about the position. If you can get into a rhythm. I watched Mahomes play this morning. Granted, it's Mahomes. So, he's playing at a really high level, and he's got Andy Reid. But, he just made, incredible dime throw after dime throw and finding all kinds of guys, buying himself extra time, all kinds of poise within the pocket. At one point, he got mad at Eric Bieniemy for wasting their opportunity to score at the end of the first half. And the two of them actually had to be separated, but he was throwing dimes and he was on time. And then you watch the afternoon and or the evening game and you're watching Jimmy, and he just wasn't on time. And, that's the thing, too. When you score as little as the 49ers are scoring right now, you open yourself up to, bad call or, one drive. And then all of a sudden it's kind of like the relief pitcher who falters in baseball and everybody leaves the yard going, damn.
It kind of felt like
damn that reliever. But it's not the reliever. It's about the offense. The offense right now is bogging down.
Let's not forget that, Kyle gave him 3 points. Could have put him in a 3rd and 18, and the defense was playing great in the first half. And he elected to decline the holding penalty instead of pushing him back to 3rd and 18 and out of field goal range.
I didn't love that.
He gave him the field goal, which you never really want to give a team points like that. I could see it if maybe it was down in the short end of the field, they're in the 20-yard line and they kick a field goal and there's a penalty and you don't want to give them another opportunity.
You heard his answer in the post-game presser, right, Danny? He basically
I didn't hear it, no.
In the post-game presser, he's like, hey, I was concerned about the defensive hold or, Russell throwing one up and getting a call. And, he kind of addressed that. that's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't. I kind of agree with you more, but I can also see how those defensive hold penalties kind of become these.
Yeah, automatic first down.
Automatic first down, and it seems like and we're talking about any contact after 5 yards, even if the DB and the receiver just kind of brush by each other, they're throwing the flag. Yeah. So it's.
I guess Russell J donates another $5. He wants to continue taking some shots. I guess
we get into battles here. Russell J says, I did play football in the late 90s, clearly more recently than you, bud. If you ever played, stop deflecting Jimmy stuff. Next level excuses. I like that. I like the
spicy.
I like the angst. It's
spicy there, Russell J. Yeah.
Dan Coach Emilio gets me too, Russell. I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, you just see him talking down.
Hey, Russell, I got something.
If you ever know,
I got something for you, Russ, baby. How's that? I'll put my hat on for you there.
Yeah.
There, the Jimmy G hat. Does that get you a little riled up more?
You look a little bit like Pat Dye or something, Go way back. The former Auburn coach.
Yeah, I wonder where Russell played. I wonder if Russell played at
Russell, tell us in the chat where you played.
Maybe Lake Merritt or something like that?
In the late 90s. I'm looking at him. He looks like a Miami Hurricane.
I think he looks a little bit more like
Tulsa Green Wave, or
I think maybe he was
Cal Poly San Luis Obispo.
Scout team, maybe for.
Don't insult Russell. You insult Russell. I'll come across this stream.
Oh, man.
I will come across this stream. I will empty this room. We will come at Dan Coach Emilio in a big bad way.
Oh man,
Danny and I made a fantasy trade, by the way.
Oh, I know. Oh, I also made a horrible trade.
It's a very good trade.
Yeah, wait. Say it again.
Danny got CeeDee Lamb, and I got Keenan Allen and Kenneth Walker the third.
When's Keenan coming back?
Next week, maybe.
Next week. Maybe. I mean, yeah.
I just can't stand CeeDee Lamb. I don't know. My kid convinced me to take him.
He goes off for like 40 points tomorrow.
Well, it's just tough because he's got
my luck. All right, we got this one. Russell J says, here's $20. This is the most frustrated we've all been in a long time, even the Rams game. There's nothing we can clearly point and say, do that to improve this. Dan, this doesn't mean find Jimmy excuses. Ooh.
Well, I can understand your frustration, Russell. I watched the game myself in complete frustration. Totally get the frustration, but I'm not going to bury Jimmy after one game.
He was bad.
Let me tell you what, Russ.
He was bad, though, Danny. Yeah, he was bad.
Week 1, 2021. Here's Aaron Rodgers.
If you're not going to bury him now, when would you bury him? Because he was really bad today.
I'll give him a few more weeks.
You know what? I will say this is, I guess, maybe not as much of a defense of Jimmy G as it is like, I guess this goes to Kyle, but I mean, I think we can all agree that the whole offense looked horrible. Like
it looked stagnant, and it looked boring.
Obviously, the Shanahan whole thing. Yeah, the whole thing.
Do I need to say it? Do I need to go to the chat? Because the chat always rules. Did you see what's in the? Here we go.
No, I'm not sure.
Go. Do you guys want to guess what's in the chat?
No, I don't know what to guess.
Guess what people want. Here we go. Wait a second.
Time for Pasquale.
Spy v Spy. He says put Brock Purdy in.
Oh, that's going to be a thing.
Not yet.
Would Brock Purdy be an upgrade on Jimmy G?
No.
Light him up.
Okay.
Let's talk it over.
Let me read this off. I don't know if you've noticed I've been spacing out. I've been trying.
What if he was?
What if?
Okay.
What if? Okay. Listen to this. So the running game, we can all agree, like the running game is the staple of everything. That's the backbone of everything. I'd say the one time when their offense picked up was when Jeff Wilson broke that long one, and all of a sudden they kind of had to respect that. And I don't know if it's because Trey Lance, they kind of built the offense a little bit more geared towards power running, and that was sort of the vibe this year, but it kind of sucks not having the Mosterts or the Breidas, the guys that can literally break away for 70-yarders, like, every once in a while to keep you honest. Let me read you the rushes from today, because this is kind of disturbing. Okay. And also the field position was brutal. All right, start out. Okay, 1st and 10 at the San Francisco.
It started
10.
off being pretty good, then it got brutal.
Yeah. Or no, this is the first drive of the game is from the San Francisco 10. Okay, 1st and 10 at the San Francisco 10. Jeff Wilson, right tackle for 2 yards. Then the next running play at the 25, 1st and 10. Deebo Samuel, 1 yard. Then the next one is the next series. That's the Jeff Wilson 37. So we've got a 2, a 1, and a 37. Then we've got a Jeff Wilson for 1 yard. Then we've got a Deebo for no gain. Then we've got a Jeff Wilson for 6 yards. Then we've got a Jeff Wilson for -1. Then we've got a Jeff Wilson for 4. Then we've got a Jeff Wilson for 3. Then we've got a Jeff Wilson for 3. Then we've got a Deebo Samuel for 3. Then we've got a Jimmy G scramble for 7 yards, but a penalty on McGlinchey. Then we have a Deebo for 2. Then that's the end of the first half. Now the second half, Jeff Wilson, no gain. Jordan Mason, 7 yards. Jeff Wilson, no gain.
His only
Jeff
carry,
Wilson,
by the way, of the game, 7 yards.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Jeff Wilson, 18 yards. Okay, so there's been, and then the last one is a Jeff Wilson for 2 yards. So in the entire game,
You're saying you're basically telling me they struggled to run the football.
they really did. They only had 3 runs over 6 yards, and that includes the Jordan Mason 7-yarder. So like, if we're backed up, if the Niners are backed up and they're only getting 2 yards, 1 yard, 3 yard, and then you're just putting Jimmy in third down, and nobody here thinks Jimmy is Aaron Rodgers. Like, Jimmy's an average quarterback. He needs a complementary run game. So
I guess. He does have some pretty good weapons, though. How many teams have Ayuk, Debo, Kittle, and the backs that he does have? I will say this: they're not very dynamic in the backfield.
not at all.
Without Mitchell and without Mostert and without Hasty. You know what I mean? Hasty, even though he's small, he gave him a little bit more dynamic look than what they have now. I'd like to see more of Jordan Mason in this next game. I would say the same way they lined it up last week and just said, hey, you know what, Rams, we're making this a referendum on, on mono football, and McVay kind of fell for it and went away from Cooper Kupp and started running Sony Michel, trying to prove that he was tougher than Kyle, and it worked. It worked, and I would say the 49ers should do the same thing and do it with Jordan Mason this week. This was a really physical game. I got to think Jeff Wilson's pretty banged up. Maybe take a little bit of the load off him and come with the big boy. Mason runs hard, and he's 230. And you know what? This next game is not going to be a run around. It's going to be a run through. And if, to me, I would stop by his locker if I was Kyle early in the week and just say, hey, big guy, get ready for some carries this week, because you're going to be a major part of the game plan. Hold on to the football and, run to daylight, and let's see what we can do. Because to me, they got to get more of the running game going. That's your point. You're totally right on.
Tonight that really probably won't get talked about because it doesn't seem to be talked about a lot. But why was McLeod taking those kickoffs in the corner, 1 yard from the goal? Why not just let it go out of bounds or through the end zone? Because if it goes out of bounds, you get it at the 40. If it goes into the end zone, you get it at the 25. He takes it on one side.
Are you talking about kickoffs or punts?
Kickoffs. He tries to run it all the
You're
way
talking
across.
about the first, the opening kickoff for the
and then the second one too. It
I
was
didn't
like
notice the second one.
the second one he took like at the 1 yard line as well.
Well, I'll say this, people should know this, Ray McLeod has got some big playability. There's no question.
Yeah,
he can give the 49ers a little bit more of a dependable veteran return guy. He's not going to wet the bed just on an NFL Sunday because he's played a lot. But he had 6, like the 3 of us times 2 fumbles last year. And if he has half that many this year, the fans are going to lose their S. And he had one tonight. and he got it back. And that is one of the weaknesses in the Niners game, is that they took on a player who's got some juice, but he has also got a propensity to put the ball on the carpet.
Taking the ball from
that's going to kill them later this year, though.
Yeah,
if their margins,
setting yourself
nothing
up though at the 10-yard inside the 10-yard line twice in your first few possessions.
The issue, I think, for him is more the fumble, because he's got to. The 49ers can't have that happen, especially now that they've dug themselves a little bit of a hole. They're going to need to go on a run and win some games, and that means they're going to have to be sound across the board. And turnovers, they just got to have to minimize their turnovers, because it's, tonight. It didn't feel like they turned it over a lot, because they turned it over on their final 2 possessions. You know what I mean? They had 3 turnovers for the game, and 2 came on the final 2 possessions. But I mean, that's just it right there. I mean, you can't shoot yourself in the foot any more than that, coughing up the ball twice in a row to finish the game. Russell says, here's $10. Maybe we challenge Kyle to evolve, to coach around Jimmy's shortcomings. Kyle can do better. That's my solution. But waiting 2 to 4 weeks for Jimmy to rehab is fool's gold. Well, I mean, as Danny said, I mean, it's a good point. What choices do they have? This is what they got. This is not roto ball. Well, we'll just trade him for this guy. We'll get this
trade
guy
with
in
MF for, Teddy Bridgewater or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind trading for Kyler Murray. I like the way he moves around.
Dustin Gale said he put in the chat, we missed his opening show, this one early on. So there's that one. Let the what's it?
The bemoaning.
But let's see, barbecuing. Let the barbecuing begin.
NGO. Yeah.
It's like, what a game. What's that behind begin there? Is that a happy face, or what is that? A sad face? What is that?
It's like a tongue out, sort of general tongue out.
It's a tongue out. Oh man. Dustin the Gale. I mean, seriously, St. Mary's deserves better than the tongue out.
Oh, come on. we missed his shot.
Hey, look, Russell's been in the show quite a bit. We got to give it up for Russell.
Hell yeah, Russell. Hell freaking
Russell.
New member.
Maybe we'll have Danny talk down to more people in the future.
Yeah, I think it's working.
It's good for marketing.
So what do you think?
How do you guys build your channel? Well, we have this guy, Dan Coach Emilio, and what he does is he just talks down to people. And then they get mad at him, and then we all make up, and then they join our thing as a member, and then probably tomorrow, Russell.
Chad Powers is looking for a contract.
Eric Hernandez, didn't Dorsey win a national title with Miami? Remember the PI call in the corner of the end zone? Hurricanes, Buckeyes?
Yes, I do, unfortunately.
I'm trying to catch up with some of these super chats because they're bouncing in at different times here.
Are you guys a little disturbed about Jeff Wilson is, I think we all can agree, Jeff Wilson is Jeff Wilson, and he can't be your primary back for the rest of the year. And also Debo, you can't be running Debo like this. I mean, he almost got injured today, and the fact that they're running him this much and it's not even being successful.
They need a dynamic runner. I would say this. I would scour whatever's out there for whoever's got speed. Find some speed.
Yeah, we need
running back. I mean, even if the guy's small.
The thing is,
there are some fast backs that are out there. Go get one, because in this
Marlon
system,
Mack's kind of fast. Actually,
you got a 3. Well, we're going to find out. He also had an Achilles, right?
Yeah, 2020. Yeah. Russell donates here, says Kyle should stay, but is he capable of evolving? Still hold him accountable. Yeah.
I mean, you have to hold him accountable.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying blind faith, but it's just a matter of, come on. They were in the NFC Championship last year.
Yeah.
You win and lose with players. But I will say this, I do think it's fair. Like if Kyle Shanahan were sitting here right now, I do think it's fair to ask him if he has any regret over the Trey Lance pick. Why? Because it's really clear now that Trey
What do you
Lance.
think his answer will be, Larry?
Well,
yeah, I do. I totally regret it. I don't know what I
well,
was
of course,
thinking.
Dan, of course. But I'm just saying, I think it's a fair question. My point is, I think it's a fair question because
Yeah, but you're not going to get an honest answer.
that's not my point, Dan. My point is that would be the question I think that I'd want to ask him, just from the standpoint of, when are the 49ers ever going to be in a position to be okay with Trey taking the lumps that even Josh Allen has taken over the last 3 years? People don't realize that Josh Allen wasn't very good that first year, and he struggled a lot in that second year too. And here he is in year 3, year 3 he busted out. But
I'll say this: if Trey were in the lineup,
the Niners going to give Trey 2 full years ever to make mistakes and complete 58% or 55% and have more interceptions and touchdowns and maybe go 8-8 or 8-9, or you know what I'm saying?
Do they have that? They would have won the game tonight, but this was a kind of game that I think Trey's legs could have given the Niners a boost on the offense for scrambling.
Well, how much worse could it be, man? Yeah,
that's what I mean. I think he would have been better in the lineup tonight because of, what Jimmy looked tonight. I mean, Trey could have just thrown those balls too, but Trey would have been able to scramble. I don't think he would have got tackled, sacked at the end of the game at the 2 or 3 yard line when he just grabbed around his ankles. I think Trey may have even been able to get to the outside and pick up a first down. Trey seems to have more pocket awareness in many cases. I think that's one of his strengths, is being able to step out of the rush, evade it, and either get some positive yards or throw it away, whatever. But that's one of the weaknesses that Jimmy has. And I don't understand, and we said it last week, I never understood why we didn't see much more of Trey in the pocket. And I think that's where Kyle's
obviously telling us, Danny, that he doesn't believe that Trey can cut it as a passer from the pocket, and that's why he ran him as much as he did.
But still, I mean, you've seen guys in the pocket that could run. I mean, Steve Young, when he first came out, ran a lot. He wasn't as great of a passer as he became when he first started, but he was able to buy time in the pocket, and he learned to throw better with great accuracy. But the first year he was kind of reckless, but he was able to get around. I just don't understand, instead of having the design plays that were called, have him go in the pocket like he's going to throw, run play action. I think it would have kept the defense a lot more honest. It would have they would have had to guard the long ball, and Trey's legs could have got him outside of the pocket. And that's my thing with Kyle. That's my thing. I don't think Kyle utilized him properly, so he wasn't confident with his throwing ability. I still saw some great throws out of him. I saw one against Houston last year. I saw one against Chicago where he just laid it over. It was, he had to get it over the linebacker's head, and then there was the corner and the safety was converging on the ball, and he laid it right in there in the rain of all things. So I don't think it's like he can't throw it all. He may be inconsistent, but so is Jimmy, it appears. So my take was, and it's over now. I mean, the year's over for Trey, and we have to move on with Jimmy. I just don't think Trey got a fair shot at being an actual NFL quarterback.
Well, we're just never going to know the answer, really, right? We're not going to know how developed he is or isn't until he actually starts to play and we really start to see it. And that's not going to be for another year. And you know what? To be totally honest, it's not guaranteed. None of it is. It's just too volatile of a situation.
The problem is he hasn't played much in 4 years.
But there's also other factors. There's do they win a Super Bowl? How impatient is Jed? Is Aaron Rodgers become available? Does Lamar Jackson re-sign? What happens to Kirk Cousins in Minnesota? I mean, there could be all kinds of quarterback movement that we aren't even anticipating.
Oh, yeah. Look what happened.
They may
this
decide they
offseason.
want to trade Trey. They may decide they want to develop Trey. They may decide that Jimmy's their guy if he plays well enough. I mean, I think the whole spectrum of possibilities is out there, and it's just too bad because I think that Kyle probably ran him a lot because he thought that was the best thing for him as far as to win in the present. But it put him in harm's way. I think it was running him too much. You know, the kid got hurt, whether it was accidental or, or because of the usage, who knows? We'll never really get the answer to that. All we know is he's out for the year and they got to make do. Now, Rex Ryan said this week that their chances of winning the Super Bowl are better with Jimmy Garoppolo than they are with Trey Lance, and the betting public agrees with Rex Ryan. How do you guys feel about that? Do you agree with that? Are the Niners do they have a better chance of winning the Super Bowl with the Jimmy G that you saw tonight versus the Trey Lance that we've seen thus far? I mean, obviously you're not getting him back, but do you agree that Jimmy is their best chance to go to the bowl?
Yeah.
I do in some sense. I'm just disappointed we never got to see Trey at what I think his best, what he could have been best at. And I don't understand it. I'll never understand it because to me, the reason you have a guy like Trey Lance is a guy that you saw what Russell Wilson did tonight, right? Getting first downs, being able to run and get this first down. I mean, you don't see Russell Wilson running up the gut like on a design play. I understand that's part of the offense and all that. I just think Trey Lance would have been much better used as a pocket quarterback that can evade the rush and get positive yards or flip it out of bounds or throw it to an open guy. Because what happens when a quarterback is on the move, people who are linebackers, they come up to make the tackle, and then all of a sudden you've got guys that are wide open in this, and it happens all the time. And I think that's where he should have been utilized, and I'll never quite understand it. It just and I hope that when he comes back, that's how they use him, because to me, that is your best weapon to keep the defense honest and keep them guessing. When you know that
he's not a very good runner.
Well, he is on the outside. I don't think he
hasn't shown that at all.
Well, I mean, he showed it at the FCS level, but yeah, I agree with Ryan. I mean, people need to forget the idea that he's a runner, because he's not a runner. Lamar Jackson is a runner. Kyler Murray is a runner. But Kyler can also do it from the pocket. There are quarterbacks.
I'm not saying he's a running quarterback. I'm saying he's a guy that can elude.
Yeah, but
the defense.
They shouldn't use him on runs. They should use him on. They should use him on move the pocket and use him kind of the way that Kansas City uses Mahomes. Run him about that often. I mean, that's the usage I'd like to see. That's the comparable talent as far as is Mahomes make these incredible plays in small windows. At times he does now, but he's really more about buy yourself more time, get your eyes open down the field, find your receiver that has separation down the field and just hurl it down to him. And that's what he did. That's how he burned the Niners in the Super Bowl on the huge play to Tyreek. It was that kind of a play where he busted out of the containment and extended the play. And Tyreek on a second move got away from the DB and they hooked up. That I think is also that's what Trey did in the Texans game with Debo. I think that's what Trey's going to be best at. I think you're right, Dan. He's got more mobility in the pocket than Garoppolo, and then he's got to move to an open spot and make a throw. Exactly. But this idea that he's needs to be run, if they really feel the need to run him as many times as they have, which is 50 times or whatever in 4 games, then he probably needs to sit and watch and develop more until he's more refined as a passer, because that's the job description. It's quarterback. Quarterback in the NFL means you have to make plays with your arm from the pocket, and you can use your legs to buy yourself more time, but you got to do it with your arm. And this idea that he's going to somehow run over defenders and he's going to bury his head and push the pocket. All the quarterback yards have to be what the defense gives you. You can't have the quarterback out there fighting for yards. Not really. I mean, you can do it in the Super Bowl in a key situation in the fourth quarter, maybe a snap or two a game, but you can't live that way or your guy's going to get hurt. Steve Young said it repeatedly. Steve did say it was ridiculous. He said it was a goofball question for those questioning firing Shanahan and blaming Shanahan. But he also made it perfectly clear that he didn't think that, that running your quarterback 13 times a game was a sustainable plan. So that would be my point. And that's the only point I've really tried to make on this is just, I don't mind running him here or there. He's got mobility and it's football and you're going to take hits, but risk reward, you know what I mean? It's like 3 yards in the second quarter of a game when you got like a stable of running backs that all need carries theoretically, and they're all up and active on game day and you're running the quarterback, hand that ball to JP Mason, right? I mean, that's what I want to see. I think that's what most Niner fans want to see. And I want to see Jimmy run less and Purdy run less and just put their quarterback in harm's way less. Don't volunteer hits on the quarterback and see if they can get their offense going a little bit more, with a little rhythm, because in the second half, no rhythm to speak of. And it makes you wonder if like Shanahan and Garoppolo are they going to use this kind of reuniting, this second go around to kind of talk it out and say, hey, what didn't you like that I was doing? What didn't you like about the way I coached, and get on the same page and move forward? Or are these guys going to be kind of islands unto themselves where Garoppolo's like, hey, man, I'm doing it the way I want to do it. And I'm a free agent at the end of the year and I can walk and there's nothing they can do. And, Shanahan could be equally unwed to, Garoppolo, and they could have a kind of a, they're both working together, working in the same building at the same thing, but maybe not as together as they need to be. To me, I think that needs to be explored is how much are these guys working together? Because I think that's good. I don't think we should just assume that that's happening, because it doesn't from afar. It's like, I've never seen Jimmy question Shanahan the way he did this week, where he's like, yeah, in 2017, I was free and easy and I could cut it loose. And, it's not like that around here anymore. And I really like playing that way. It's like, he's like being more candid than he's ever been before. Like almost like he's like emboldened by his current situation. I just hope that they work together on this thing, because it seems, you know what I mean? We're getting some indications that maybe not everybody's on the same page sometimes.
Did we do this already with Dustin the Gale, the 999? Did we get to this one?
I don't think so. Go ahead, read that one.
Yeah. Also, since we haven't had a Pro Bowl quarterback since Jeff Garcia, at this point, establishing a top 10 to have fun watching every Sunday is, to me, more important than winning the Super Bowl next year. Okay. Well, I'm always about winning. I think
well, what he's saying is he'd rather see Trey given the time to develop into a top 10 guy than sell out for trying to win the Super Bowl because you're going with a veteran like a Garoppolo. I hear what he's saying.
Let me say this about, I want to make a point.
Of course, 49ers didn't choose this. This kind of chose them, right?
I'm gonna make a point here, and then I'm gonna show a minute to a minute and a half of highlights. Last year, the 49ers were in a must-win game, right? Against Houston Texans. Must win. They couldn't. So what did Kyle do? He didn't play not to lose. He played to win. And this is what I'm talking about, of what I thought we would see with Trey. And we didn't even get a chance to see it in the game one. I understand the weather was bad, but I think he could have been utilized this way. And then against Seattle, watch these plays. This is just some running and passes of Trey here. Okay. Last year against Houston, see how he's rolling out? He's not going up the middle between the tackles. This is where you use Trey Lance. You use him. Watch how he evades. See, he gets away from the pocket, and then he gets rid of the ball, gets a few yards. Jimmy can't do that. Okay, now watch this. Quarterback sneak. Okay, there's a play coming up where he evades and he gets out of the pocket, but he was in single formation. I mean, a lot. There was he was in the backfield, with no backs a lot of times. Okay, there's a designed run, but it's outside. 8 yards, picks up. I think there's this one that comes up where he doesn't make the first down, but there's one play. Okay, this is where he gets hit short. This is in the first half. He wasn't. He actually played even better.
Now that was that last one was an illustration of why he needs to.
Yeah, but look at that.
Sit more because you should lower your shoulder and try to take on NFL defenders.
Positive yards. There's a first down. He got out of the pocket. That's what I'm talking about. He's not a running quarterback per se, but he's
not Lamar.
No, but you put him in the pocket and use his strength from the pocket. Let him roll out. Let him evade the rush, and he's constantly doing that. And here's when he gets he got sacked there. But the point is we didn't get a chance to see any of that this year. And there's more. It goes on for like 8 minutes, but he's
a very young quarterback.
Right.
You're talking about a 22-year-old quarterback who's made very few starts, and they chose this. This is what they chose. They chose the highest upside quarterback who was really the most raw, and so they had to know that there was either going to be a ramp up period where you had to coach him up, and that was going to take a number of years, or you're going to have to sacrifice a year to develop him and let him make his mistakes on the field. You have two choices, bury him on the bench and just, force him to learn while he doesn't play, or play him and have him develop faster, but also have him, you're probably going to lose. And they're not willing to do that second one. They're not willing to ever lose to develop Trey. So then it just matter. So really, they just got to give themselves more time to develop them. But it kind of flies in the face of the value play, right? Because you go with the rookie quarterback to get the quarterback on the rookie deal, and then you build up the talent base around the rookie quarterback, and you make a run for the Super Bowl. But what's the assumed part there is that your rookie quarterback could run your team well enough to win the Super Bowl. But Trey's so raw and so new and so inexperienced that he needs either to play and make a lot of mistakes or sit probably for another full year, maybe even another year. Who knows?
Oh, I think my point is on all this, and people are saying Trey's gone and it's obvious he's not going to be there. I get it. My point in all of this is I'm watching this offense that looks terrible with Jimmy. It looks mismanaged when Trey's in there running design plays between the tackles, and hardly ever seeing Trey get dropped back to pass and use his skills, what we just saw against Houston last year. He used them that way in Houston because he had to win. And Trey was able to get out of the pocket and make things happen. That's what I thought they drafted him for, because we know Jimmy can't do that. So Jimmy is going to have to, if they're going to use this offense with Jimmy now going forward, my point is, and I think Ryan was making it earlier, stop putting him in 3rd and 7 constantly, 3rd and 5. You're forcing Jimmy to make the play every time. Put him back there. I think he looked great when he was.
You want to see him throw the ball on 1st and 2nd down more?
Absolutely, because he can throw the quick release, and you don't make the offense so conservative and so you know what's coming. When it's 3rd and 5, all they're going to do is play up in the box because they're not expecting anything deep.
Yeah, I mean, and they don't even respect the run. So, yeah, I mean, you know what? This is kind of a Dan move by me, what I'm about to do. I'm going to read one of my tweets that I put out today. Or not really. I'll just kind of sum it up.
You're quoting the great poet Ryan Smith.
Yes. Okay, what do you think about this? Because watching Jalen Hurts just absolutely look like he might be a guy now, like truly a guy. I said expectations make everything more challenging. If the 49ers take Jalen Hurts 3rd overall, would he be the same quarterback we are seeing right now? I lean no. If Trey Lance was taken 53rd overall, would he be more comfortable in the pocket and further along in his development? I lean yes. I think that's a big part of it. I mean, the guy had crazy expectations and magazine covers and debate people and he hadn't even played at all. And
the thing is, Jalen Hurts, though, I think I think he's a very cerebral quarterback who does a lot of the nuances really, really well because he's always had to, because he's not the biggest guy. But before we start, and I think he's got a little magic to him, and he's definitely a leader. And he learned a lot of good habits at Alabama. But let's see if anybody, whether it be Trey Lance, Jalen Hurts, or anybody else, can run 12 to 13 times a game and be there for when it really matters, which is December and January. So, I can't, you can't hail the usage of Hurts as a success until when the other people are saying, you know what, don't use the quarterback that way, he's going to get hurt. We got to see 6, 7, 8, 9 games. You know what I mean? Because maybe it's just the Niners got in bad luck, and the Eagles can use Jalen Hurts as a runner between the tackles left and right and use him 13 times a game and wind up winning the Super Bowl.
He's a better runner than Trey is, unfortunately.
He's a better runner. He's more elusive, but also he takes a lot of hits. Like I watched Philly. I'm wondering if Jalen Hurts is going to be there in December.
Yeah, you're saying
so that's
get hurt. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, to me, he looks like a guy who's going to get Jalen hurt. He's going to be hurt.
Vicky says, "Please, I really need a Sunday dinner." Okay, Vicky, here you go.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yes.
No matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner. So remember that, Vicky. No matter where you were, no matter where the hell you were. I'll say this. There's not enough mentions of hell in mainstream American commercials.
No.
Is there anybody we can talk to about bringing, more edginess back to the commercial world?
Oh, so much so, Larry, that I was sending you those clips earlier, and I was asking you, do I have to bleep out the word hell? And you said no.
But you don't have to. I mean, think about all the potential. Palmolive. Man, this is a hell lot better than that crap I used to have. That would sell.
Hey, Ryan and I called people are talking about the Eagles in the chat and saying that Eagles will go far this year, 49ers won't. Hey, we said that before the season started, we thought the Eagles might have the best record, finish the number 1 seed because of their schedule.
Their schedule's so easy.
And they're
their division.
And the division, they're going to beat up on Washington and the Giants. And that's probably 4 wins right there. And then you got Dallas. You should easily split.
NorCal Collector, that is it. Fans are caught in the moment. They'll bounce back next week. I mean, it just is what it is.
You can expect it. I mean, that's.
I don't understand. I'm also going to pull.
Last year they lost 4 in a row, so you would have been wrong if you had said that 3 weeks in a row.
Wait,
they're going to bounce back the Niners. They're going to bounce back next week. They didn't. They're going to bounce back next week. They didn't.
Wait, when did they lose 4 in a row?
Last year.
They were 3-5 at one point, or did they go 3-6? I think no.
They were on the verge. Maybe it was 3 in a row, but it was definitely 3 in a row.
2-4.
They definitely lost 3 in a row. I thought it was 4 in a row. I could have swore
they were 3-5, and then they played Chicago.
I remember when Shanahan came on, he was like, "Hey, you know what?" I said, "Hey, there's a lot of criticism." He said, "Hey, when you lose 4 in a row in the NFL, you get a lot of criticism." So I thought it was 4 in a row.
No, and I wouldn't say that about like just any other team. I think this year's team is that freaking good.
Yeah, they were 3-1 and they were 3-1 and lost 4 straight.
I think that the Broncos are a damn good team. And I know a lot of people don't, but I think the Broncos are a damn good team.
I don't. You really think they're a damn good team?
Yeah.
They've got some decent weapons and Russell, but everybody's new. They're not in sync. You heard Collinsworth say it during the broadcast. He's like, they're missing things by a big margin. They have 16 guys on the injured list. They had 25 penalties in the first 2 games. They have new everything from ownership to head coach to coordinators to quarterback. So yeah, they have some talent and they'll play better in the second half of the year. But I mean, it's sad because the 49ers offensively right now they're struggling. Their defense is keeping them in games, and they're playing some weak offensive teams that are struggling themselves, and they can't beat those teams. And that's what's frustrating because guess what? Mahomes and the Chiefs are coming, and the Rams are coming next week, and these teams can score points. And so guess what? Even though you have a good defense, if you give up just a requisite number of points, just a minimum number of points, the way your offense is going right now, that's going to be too much. So the 49ers have to rein it in, figure out a plan, choose a runner, get some continuity, get some rhythm going, and somehow, try to compensate for not having Trent Williams. I mean, Jalen Moore was a disaster, and he had to be replaced. And I love, McKivitz. He's a good old country boy from West Virginia. He ain't afraid of nothing, but he doesn't have long arms. And you're going to ask him to play left tackle. I mean, that's going to going from Trent Williams to McKivitz. That's, and Jalen Moore's got a little bit more left tackle ability, but he's not dependable. He's slow footed, and you saw quickly the rushers just go right around him.
I mean, I don't want to play Jalen Moore there, but my concern level with the offensive line is like negative. Like I'm actually just not, even with Trent Williams out for like 6 weeks. I'm not even batting an eye.
I think he's only out for about 4.
But without him tonight, they struggled mightily.
Yeah, well, I think it's different. The drop off when you're not expecting it, I think is a little bit worse than the when you're getting ready. But I mean, it's just this is the NFL. I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, the chat is pretty. I'd say I'm trying to read the vibes of the chat, and the vibes of the chat is like, Shanahan's an idiot. Why? I thought he was an offensive genius. Oh, Shanahan sucks. Shanahan will never win a Super Bowl. Shanahan will choke. Shanahan always chokes. It's just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, were you guys rooting for the Niners last year? Like, I feel like everyone just wanted Kyle to fail or something. So that they like, I don't.
People are just openly frustrated that they scored 10 points tonight. They looked really bad offensively against the Bears. They were 1 for 10 on third down.
Hey, Mullet, I read it in that voice.
They got dominated at Denver dominated the time of possession. They're making a lot of mistakes penalty-wise. They only had 267 total yards. And they're looking at Shanahan, and people are claiming that he's an offensive genius and guru. And then it was like, well, wait a second. They're going to be way better off now that they've got this veteran quarterback that they can go to instead of the kid, because everybody tried to make it sound like Trey Lance was the only problem the team had. And then suddenly, now they've got basically, what don't you have? You had Debo, you had Ayuk, you had Kittle healthy. You have decent running backs. Your entire starting line was there, and you've got this veteran quarterback, and you're taking on a team that's putting no pressure on your offense to do anything because they personally can't score at all themselves. So you're getting all kinds of time with your dominant defense to kind of get your rhythm going. It's not like you're forced into, oh my God, we got ambushed in this game. We looked up and we're down 24-0. No, Denver couldn't score at all. You had nothing but a total free runway to get whatever rhythm you could cook up together, and he couldn't get anything going. And so is Denver's defense elite? No. Seattle got things going with Geno against them. The Texans did some things against them. It just seems like the 49ers are maybe at time, maybe are right now not as good as the sum of they're not the sum of their parts. Like, they have better parts than they're getting out of it. They have, if you had a team that scored 10 points, you'd be like, man, they must have nothing. And there are teams like the Bears. What do the Bears have? They got Khalil Herbert and Cole Kmet and one receiver. The Niners have Danny Gray they haven't even used. Jordan Mason they haven't even used. They got all kinds of guys and depth, and they haven't been able to get the offense going. And Shanahan's supposedly the offensive guru. So it's time to, and it's go time.
The
expectations are high.
Question this, because I watched a lot of games today and last week, and we're starting to see a lot of close games. Even teams that you wouldn't think are that great are, suffocating the long ball. And I heard, I think it was Collinsworth tonight say that teams are really struggling getting the ball down the field because defenses aren't allowing them to throw the ball down the field much. What do you because it's starting to make sense, because I look at the 2019 49ers.
They're forcing you to play. They're playing like a deep 4 across look. And they're basically keeping everything in front of them. And then they're forcing you, if you're going to beat them, you're going to beat them on like a 15-play drive, and you're going to show all kinds of patience, and you're going to work underneath, and you're going to take your time. They're going to take away the 1, 2, and 3 play home run hitter drives.
And I'm wondering if that is one of the reasons that the defenses may have not allowed that, because, go back to Trey again, he wasn't given that opportunity to throw the long ball. And that's what they kind of thought they were getting in him, and why they drafted Danny Gray. And then they signed Ray McLeod for that deep threat. But I look at the 2019 49ers, when they went to the Super Bowl, they went, I think, 13-3. And I looked at the tapes recently. I looked at the whole lot of film, just watching it. And the Niners and Jimmy Garoppolo were throwing many balls 20, 30 yards down the field with accuracy. I mean, they were running once, especially when they traded for help me out here, I'm drawing a blank. The receiver they traded for from the Broncos in 19.
Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, Sanders. Yeah. I mean, he was going deep a lot. And, Jimmy was hitting them quite a bit. A lot of deep crosses, misdirection, play action, or naked bootlegs where they would roll Jimmy out to the left and he'd throw across the field to the right. Against Green Bay, he did it last play of the game or of the first half, hit Kittle, and Kittle scored. You saw a lot of that deep ball. Now, what's happened? Kyle's offense looks like a shell of itself and we're talking the same quarterback, Jimmy G. Why don't we see any of that? Is it there not enough time? Is the offensive line not giving him enough time to do that? Is defenses caught up with Kyle's offense and he's not able to throw that over the top play anymore? Because he sure doesn't do much of it. It looks like a very vanilla offense right now. It looks like
teams have, the 49ers personnel scouted. I mean, like, this week they prepared to face Jimmy G. And so they went and looked at Jimmy G. And the one thing about Garoppolo is that he doesn't complete a lot of passes deep down the field. So you don't have to worry about him throwing it over your head. He doesn't complete tons of passes to the sideline in the intermediate area. It's more within like 5 to 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. So even those zones you can kind of leave away. So when you can take away his first read and then make him hold the ball a little bit, one, the O-line has some problems protecting him. Two, he's not that mobile, and then he likes to throw the passes with the receivers that cross his face. So defenders cheat to the middle, and we've seen it. I think for definitely going back, I would say a good portion of last year. If you don't know if you're going against Jimmy G and you're a defensive player in a zone and you're not sure where he's going to throw, cheat towards the middle. and guys are doing that, and he continues to throw passes right in the middle of the field and into double coverage. And the interception that he threw was, he threw a couple balls today that could have been picked that just weren't. So, I mean, and they had they had 3 turnovers. I thought the 49ers were the better team. And I thought the 49ers, if they had been -1 in the turnover table, they still could have beaten this Denver team by, maybe as many as 10 points. But when you're -3, forget it. That's too many giveaways. That's too many possessions to cough up to your opponent. So that's really what happened. They were -3, and then, give Russell credit. Russell did what Russell has done and why he's 18-4 against the Niners. He'll find one play, one drive a game, whether it's going well or not, and he'll either draw a penalty. Back shoulder throw was a beautiful one tonight. He'll scramble. He'll be resourceful. He'll make it happen even on days where he's got nothing going. And they kept, because they let him, it's the same with the Bears game, because they let this inferior team hang around late in the game. Suddenly it was a 1-score game, and then it becomes who can be more efficient in the fourth quarter, Russell or the Niners and Garoppolo. And Russell's always going to be the answer, and he always is the answer, and he always wins.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
it's really that simple. They got outplayed again by Russell. I would say the other issue is not just the turnovers, but some of the third down pass plays were just, they didn't miss them close. They were bad misses. And if you go back, it's like it's an assortment of misses. It's not like, oh, well, he always does this. He's high, he's low, it's in the dirt, it's, in the grass. There was one though that was really kind of bothered me. It was a pass, kind of a comeback route with kind of an outcut to Ayuk, and it was short. But Ayuk, I mean, you're a receiver. Dive. Did you see that play? That one play where it was a short play to Ayuk, and Ayuk's right there, and it fell. But I mean, you can't dive. You're a wide receiver. I mean, to me, if you talk to any quarterback about his receivers, and if he's trying to pay him a compliment, you ask him, hey, what do you think of this receiver? Oh man, I love that guy. He'll go get it for you. That's what they say. He'll go get it for you. In other words, this guy will fight and claw, and he'll try to make sure your interceptions are not interceptions. And he doesn't just quit on routes and quit on you and quit on the ball. And he'll sell out to go for the catch and do whatever he can to try to make you look good.
Why do you think we're not seeing Danny Gray? I mean, he's a guy that goes, he's not just a deep threat. He goes over the middle. He takes a hit. Why aren't we seeing Danny Gray to keep? I mean, they don't really have, without Danny Gray.
He was activated.
He wasn't in any of the game. He didn't.
I know.
I didn't see him play.
I wonder, because to me, Danny Gray is a great deep route guy, and I thought he was going to be a perfect fit for Trey. And then they get the mucked up weather day in Chicago, and they didn't make him active. Then they did make him active in week 2, and it sounded like maybe the game plan was to go up top. And even Garoppolo went up top to him. He wasn't in very much, but they still took 2 or 3 shots down the field. I think if you're going to have that guy in the team, and you should, because he's that dangerous of a receiver, you got to take 2 or 3 shots a game to him.
Yeah, you got to.
No matter what.
Oh, see, do you think Kyle plays not to lose versus rather to win?
No, I think that there's too many times in the game that he's willing to pack it in on this play or this series or this sequence for later in the game when he should be more aggressive.
Well, that's what I mean.
Where it's like a 4th and 1 at the 40, I think, in one of the games, and he didn't, and it's like, go for it on 4th and 1 at the 41-yard line. Yeah, okay, you're going to leave a short field, but go for it.
Well, this is what I'm saying. He seems like, okay, I've got this great defense. I'm going to rely on the defense and play field position, and hopefully,
I mean, they had a couple shots tonight after the Broncos missed that field goal. They got the ball at their own 40, something like that, somewhere around there, 30, 38, 40 yards. No, because
what quarter?
43. When McManus missed the 50, what was it, a 53-yarder? So they got it at the 43-yard line because they get the ball where it's spotted, right? Yeah, when they miss field goal, you get possession where the ball's spotted. So I think they took over.
It was 1st and 10. They got it at the 43 on the next series.
And they didn't do nothing.
They ran Wilson to the right side on 1st down. He got a nice run there. Then he ran on the next play. It was also a 1st down and got stuffed. Then Gregory beat Jalen Moore like a drum for a sack on a 2nd and 10. So then they're staring at 3rd and 18. He went to Ayuk. It was incomplete. That was the one that I thought Ayuk had poor effort on. And then they got to 4th and 18 and they punted and they downed it at the 4.
But I mean,
but they had also, that series, like I agree, Danny. I thought there wasn't in and Jalen Moore was in. And so they're like, we'll just have to run the ball.
You froze there. You froze there when you said you agree with me, and then it froze.
Oh, I was just saying that series was when Trent Williams went out, and I felt like they gave that series away just because, A, they went with Jalen Moore, and B, they didn't trust Jalen Moore as a pass blocker.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just like Kyle had the lead, and he felt like seems like he's just like playing it too conservative to, and I'm starting to see this is a lot of what Kyle has done. I mean, he lost the 10-point lead in the Super Bowl, got kind of conservative there at the end. And then he had a 10-point lead against the Rams last year, NFC Championship. And he doesn't, you see other teams, other coaches, they kind of never let off the gas. They keep the offense going.
Well, because he's so concerned about Garoppolo making the big mistake that he's always coaching him away from the big mistake. Like
Garoppolo, then he puts him in a situation where Garoppolo has to make the play.
Well, right.
He does
then
make
he's the king. But I mean, he's like the king of the gun run on 3rd and long. It's like, here comes the gun run, which is kind of a giveaway play. But it's taking the ball out of your quarterback's hands and it's avoiding negative plays. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to look at it. I really believe that, the Patriots have shown the way that avoiding huge negative plays is almost as important in the NFL as making big positive plays.
Absolutely. Look at the Giants. They're 2-0 because Dayball just says, all right, we're just not going to lose this game.
Well, look at Brady. Look at Brady. He's the best. Yeah. What does he do? And Rodgers does the same thing, and Breeze does the same thing, and a lot of the top guys do the same thing. Russell does the same thing. They don't try to win on every down. If they're going to lose on a down, they lose on a down. But they don't turn a bad situation into a huge negative by forcing some huge some play in the middle of the field. I felt like the Niners lost their poise in the 4th quarter of this game. I mean, they're the team. Denver's the team with the new coach, new quarterback, new coordinators everywhere you look. All kinds of new people they just hired a new guy to help them run the game this week. You're the regime that's been together for years. You should be dancing, you should be, working these guys, as far as complexity. And they looked like they knew what they were doing more than you do what you were doing.
Take a look at Miami. I mean, yeah, they have some tools. Niners have tools as well. Niners have better tight end. They have, Dolphins do have Hill and they have Waddle. But, Ayuk, Samuel, Danny Gray, you got some guys. Mike McDaniel's offense is like so much more innovative than Kyle. It's just
well, I think that part of that is the weapons. Like that was a little bit more like 2019. It was all speed. Everything was speed. And that is a little more built towards Jimmy's skill set. But I think they tailored the team around Trey. I think that this team is a little bit better for Trey. But for Jimmy, I mean, you need guys that can get separation quick. Debo is not necessarily a guy that gets crazy separation. Ayuk does, but he's blanketed by Surtain today. Danny
Right.
Gray, he doesn't have any chemistry with. Juwan Jennings is a good slot receiver, but he's a little bit lumbering.
Yeah.
Jeff Wilson is a slower kind of lumbering back. So I know that they have weapons, and Kittle's kind of coming back. I know they have weapons, but it's not exactly, the dream offense, offensive cast for Jimmy G's skill set.
Who was the opposite receiver with? I mean, it was Debo and Emmanuel Sanders, right? In 19. And who was the slot, or who was the other receiver?
Emmanuel Sanders.
No, he had Sanders and Debo. Who else?
They had Sanders, Debo. I mean, and remember, their offense totally changed.
Oh, it was Kendrick Bourne, right? It was Kendrick
Bourne.
Kendrick Bourne, yeah.
Kendrick Bourne's a good player.
So, I mean,
who's not a burner at all.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. You do need really good route runners. I mean, someone like a Cooper Kupp would be great.
They just gotta be better. I mean, they weren't very efficient. It looked like they didn't have any practice reps. I mean, Garoppolo, I think mentally was probably elsewhere, and now they were mentally elsewhere. They've only really just recently kind of got back together. He's only been practicing with them for a couple weeks, and he kind of owned it in the post-game presser. He was like, "Hey, we just gotta get back to work and kind of grind through this." But my whole thing would be like, are Jimmy and Kyle on the same page? Can these guys, can Kyle tell Jimmy, "Hey, this is what I want to see"? Can Jimmy tell Kyle, "Hey, this is how I like to play"?
I would love to see that.
Can they figure out a way that makes both of them happy? Yeah. I would say this. If you look at their situation, I know today they were -3 in turnovers, so it's probably not the best time to say this. But if you really think about what's their best way to play or best game plan, I think it's to be aggressive and throw it all over the lot offensively, because you do have, you got a quarterback who can sling it a little bit, and you got some weapons. And use your reverses and do all kinds of gadget plays and, be more aggressive, attack more downfield. And then why do I say that's the plan? Because your defense is so overpowering that they're going to get, I mean, the Niners defense, what they throw tonight? Like, wasn't it like 3 or 4 or 5, like 3 and outs and in, like 7 series or something. I mean, they shut down Denver early on. That defense they have is pretty damn solid. So since you have this defense that's really good on all 3 levels, get a little bit more aggressive offensively and see if you can put some points on the board. Try to be more aggressive in the first half. Come out and attack in the first half. See if you can put points on the board and get a lead. Because to me, look at this team. You've got Bosa. You've got Ebukam, who's playing at a really high level. Drake Jackson looks really, really good. You got guys who can go after the quarterback. They haven't had a game where they've really had a lead. If they can get a lead in the second half with all these quarterback edge rushers they have, they're going to be able to finish people off. And they get a good enough secondary, especially with Jimmy Ward coming back, to really be good on that side of the ball. But they're so good defensively, they don't need to play this ball control. Throw it all over the yard and be a little bit more aggressive, and don't give away series, and don't do gun runs. Let Garoppolo throw it down the field. If he throws an interception, as long as it's 25, 30 yards down the field, who cares? I'd rather see them take some chances instead of going to the end of the game and looking up and saying, let's see, they had 14 series, but only really like 3 or 4 of them were really viable scoring series because they were, incredibly conservative on 3 series. Don't give away 3 to 4 series a game because of situational awareness and fear of negative plays from Jimmy. Let him start slinging it all over the place, and you got weapons. Make something happen. You got a lot of weapons. Get him the ball.
Well, I would agree with that, and I'd like to see more of that. But I think Ryan made a good point: is that some of the receivers, aren't great at getting separation
quickly off the line.
Yeah. And that is really critical because
where's the reverse? I'd like to see a reverse or two. Let's see them loosen up some people east-west, and then take some shots down the field.
But if you look at, like, for example, Baltimore, the way they kind of built their offense, like, they've got big guys, not necessarily burners. They've got big guys like in, a bunch of different tight ends, Mark Andrews. And it's sort of like, because Lamar's not Jimmy G. Lamar, I mean, he's a better passer than Jimmy G actually is, but he's not like, get the ball, get it right out quick. He's like, he's going to do a little, he's going to maybe hold the ball for a little bit. And he's just looking for a big target to throw it up to. And that's what I think they were kind of looking for with Trey is like, big targets that have, secure hands. With Jimmy, it's more like the Miami Dolphins is exactly what you want with Jimmy, actually.
Yeah, I just
like look at Mac Jones with the Patriots. They did a horrible job building weapons around him because those are not the weapons you want if you're Mac Jones. With Mac Jones, you need guys that are fast, that are going to get separation. So they got Devontae Parker, who gets less separation than anyone in the NFL.
Mac Jones wrenched his ankle, and I think it's a high ankle sprain. He's probably out 4 to 6 weeks.
By
I saw
the way,
that today, but he moved well today.
Yeah, he runs. That's what I didn't understand. I mean, I guess it's the white sort of pocket quarterback thing, but like he runs 90% as well as Trey Lance. He ran a faster 40
not as well as Trey Lance, but he runs way. He's a better runner than you would ever think.
He ran a faster 40 than Patrick Mahomes.
His terrible dad body pictures.
Yeah,
no, he moved well today against the Ravens.
Yeah,
what I like about Mac Jones, he talks a lot of trash too.
Yeah, I think the Niners would be.
Fields was terrible today, by the way. Trevor Lawrence was incredible.
He is so bad.
Do you think it would be the Niners would be better off with kind of like a possession type receiver to go to for someone in this offense, like a Cole Beasley? No, somebody that can get open. They don't really have that go-to guy that, the third down receiver.
I mean, isn't Juwan Jennings that?
That's Juwan, kind of.
He is, but I think like Cole Beasley, he's always finding.
I'd like to see him have one more dynamic runner, like like just somebody who's really explosively fast, who they could throw it to. I mean, out of the backfield or just get out in space. It just seems like, I mean, I don't know. To me, it's all about big playability in the NFL right now, and you got to have that speed. And I just think that why is Miami? Because Mostert's super fast, and so's Tyreek, and so's Waddle, and they're all on the same team. And then you got Tua, who's throwing the pill down the field, and he's marginal, but those guys are getting separation. And they got a lot of athletes, and they've injected their team with a lot of draft picks. And the 49ers have too. The 49ers are still one of the faster teams. The Niners are going to be just fine. They're going to win a bunch of games. It's just what they got to do is they got to get some offense going and take advantage of their strength. Their strength is to play with a lead, to hunt quarterbacks with their deep D line and pile up, all kinds of negative plays on their opposition by just getting in the backfield with their wide nine and just feasting. Well, that only works if you can get up 10 points, and they're having the darndest time doing that. So they got to start faster. They got to be more aggressive, and they've got to drill Jimmy and these receivers and make sure they get on the same page and maybe try some things with their faster players like a Danny Gray. I'd like to see that. I wouldn't mind them seeing them add one more back who is a little bit more explosive to what they have, or maybe just feature Jordan Mason and let's see if Mason can run people over him. He's a big 230-pound bruiser, and he runs hard. So I don't know what they're waiting for. I think they're afraid that he's going to cough it up, that he's going to have some big turnover, and it's going to kill his confidence. But Jimmy's just got to be a whole lot better.
Protections or something, because I will say
that. Yeah, that's
one
it too.
time when he was in for 2 plays. The one was a run that looked like completely different than Jeff Wilson because he had all that burst. But there was one play when Jimmy was kind of directing him, and he looked like he was. I was watching him on the play because I was hoping to get the ball again, and he looked confused. He looked like he was not quite sure what he was doing. That was the body.
Yeah, I mean, just overall, just a very frustrating game to watch, because Russell Wilson, how many times at the end of the day, It's like, what do you say? Well, Russell once again made the plays when he needed to make the plays. And it's like, what do you need your quarterback to do? Play more like Russell. Well, what does Russell do that your quarterback doesn't do? He doesn't turn it over. And that's what Jimmy does. Sadly, that's what Cap did. That's why the Niners had a hard time beating Russell for years, because Russell takes care of the football and for the most part doesn't turn it over. And then he'll make some back-breaking run if you give him an avenue or two. He's always on the lookout for it. He doesn't even have a good rapport with his receivers right now, and he still found a way without that rapport, with no rhythm of their own, to just kind of gut out a win by running for a couple plays and making one back shoulder throw. And you know what I mean? It's just, he just coaxed that victory away from the 49ers. So Niners are just going to have to forget about this one, do the film review, bounce back. The good news is, this is a very familiar spot, isn't it? I mean, last year, national TV, Rams had to have it, and backs against the wall, and they fired. It's Ram week, and it's time for them to wake up and start playing more like a Super Bowl contender, and probably running through the Rams is probably the best game plan. Probably a ball control, run-oriented scheme without Trent Williams going up against this D-line is probably what's in order, right? So it's going to be a run-heavy head knocker of a game, and they're just going to have a diverse rushing attack. And I want to see reverses. I want to see guys, everybody touch the ball. The good news is, and what was the Debo? One thing I walked out of the room when Debo got hurt, it looked bad. And then all of a sudden, he went to the tent.
Yeah.
He just got game tackled. I think he
was
probably
it?
He might have looked like he got maybe the wind knocked out of him. Or
Was that it?
Yeah. It was kind of one of those weird, like, Debo's a tough-ass dude, but also, there was a couple times last year when it seemed like he was kind of reacting like he was like, oh, man, is he out for the season type thing, and then would come back in. I think it was probably just a stinger or a wind knocked out of him.
Yeah. He got like 5-6 guys just pounding on him, and the whistle was blowing, and they were just,
I don't understand. So is there everybody's talking about Jimmy stands in the comment? Is there really Jimmy Garoppolo stands? Like, Stan is a reference from the Eminem song where the guy was the crazy fan and whatever, like, killed himself over Eminem or something. I don't, and we all know what to be a stan of something. I understand, honestly, being a stan of Trey Lance, because you're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to stake my claim early. This guy has the possibility of being like a Mahomes, and I guess I would consider myself like maybe a Steph Curry stan.
What's the stan stand for?
It stands for Stan. There was a guy named Stan, a song by Eminem called Stan, in which it was letters written from a fan, and essentially, like, he ended up like killing him. I don't know. He just was crazy. It's just a word now used for crazy fan. But who is that big of a fan of Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, I think that people are conflating maybe very small fringe number of people that are that into Jimmy Garoppolo. Mostly, it's just like Niner fans that are just kind of like, I don't know, like, we're just kind of rooting for the team to win. Like, we don't, I don't know. We don't.
So what's it go by? Stands? Okay. Stands. Okay.
Jimmy Stands blaming his 10 points on having blah, blah. And then people are like, oh, Jimmy Stands said they'd win the Super Bowl.
Every time I hear the word stands repeated, I think of the police. Don't stand.
You can replace every single one of those with 49ers fans.
Don't even try.
I don't understand it.
Everybody's, it's funny when Trey went down. I think there was this feeling like, oh, we're really sorry for Trey, but this is going to be great. You know what I mean? And I think tonight is that kind of like the football gods pushing back on all that erroneous thinking. You know what I mean? It's like you can sit there and take your shots at Trey and be like, it's really sad about Trey, but it's just good they had Jimmy. And like this idea, I think there were a lot of people that deep down, because the Niners have had a lot of success, kind of think that that Jimmy's not good enough is like a figment of our imagination. Like he actually is really good enough. We just have too high a standards, and he never should have been taken out of his job to begin with. So here comes a game like tonight, where you get to see you get a full reminder of what it is to be quarterbacked by Jimmy Garoppolo, which is he gets happy feet and he floats balls across the middle indiscriminately, and he doesn't take care of the football, and he ain't all that accurate, and he ain't all that mobile, and he can't really avoid the rush. And as the game progresses, he starts to bog down. And he'll make a few plays, but then there's a bunch of plays that he leaves out on the field, and he doesn't really.
I would like to see.
He doesn't really see the field as well as you would like him to, and you know what I'm saying. You start to see the flaws, and then it's like I almost feel like the football gods gave us that just as a reminder for all you out there going, "Hey, you know what? Sucks about Trey, but man, it's great that we got Jimmy." Like suddenly it was just going to be some direct path to the parade down Market Street.
I think that's a little bit of a straw man, Lair. No, but I don't think there's that many people saying.
No, but there were a lot of people who were like, "Hey, you know what?"
I think there's a lot of people being like,
I just played a cut from Rex Ryan, and the betting public agrees. The betting public believes that the 49ers have a better chance to win the Super Bowl under Garoppolo than they do under Trey. And lost in that is that Garoppolo is totally flawed. And there's Kyle Shanahan is not a maniac. He wanted to upgrade from Garoppolo for a reason.
Yeah.
And now we're being reminded of those reasons. Now, can he coach him up a little bit? Can Garoppolo rein it in a little bit? Can Jimmy and Kyle get together and kind of put Jimmy's best foot forward? And who knows? Hopefully, I'm hopeful. We're all hopeful.
Yeah, we're hopeful. I mean, it's going to be.
But it also kind of is a reminder that, you know what? This wasn't necessarily an upgrade. It's just a different player with a different skill set who was flawed in his own way, but still flawed. So we all just need to kind of remember that Trey going down was not good for Trey, and it wasn't good for the Niners.
I'll say this about Kyle, and I like Kyle. I think he's a brilliant designer of plays. I'm not sure sometimes about his talent evaluation of certain things when it comes to quarterback. I mean, this is the guy that in 2017 didn't even, or was it 2017 or 18 when Mahomes and Watson came out? Okay, so we went with Solomon Thomas, first pick in 2017. Had a shot at Watson, had a shot at Mahomes, didn't consider either one. Now, 2020 comes along. We're coming off the Super Bowl. Tom Brady basically is in your lap saying, "I want to come here." And they go to take Jimmy over Tom Brady.
But, in fairness to them, I mean, on that one, and I love Tom Brady, and I was arguing for them to go with Tom Brady at the time. So this is not, I'm defending them now, despite the fact I was screaming for them to go with Tom Brady. But he was 43. You know what I'm saying? And Garoppolo was coming off the Super Bowl. He was far younger. And it seemed kind of like they hadn't really given Jimmy the full go round and given him, he had accomplished a lot, but he was Larry, far younger, and we didn't know. You got to remember this.
I'm going to
push 43, back on that. The same thing we're seeing right now with Brady. Like Brady this year looks bad. He lost today, but he looks bad, and now his weapons are kind of hurt. He doesn't look the same.
Hurt, but I'll push back.
He's
on
regressed this year. He's regressed. But who's to say that wasn't going to be at 43? Right, because they're all. It's all unprecedented, really.
I agree with you that at some point, Father Time's going to catch up.
Well, that's a Monday morning quarterbacking questioning Brady.
But my point is, here's my point.
They haven't handicapped the quarterback position.
Yes,
you're right.
And here's my point further: is you said they kind of hadn't given Jimmy a chance, but in that whole 2019 playoffs, they didn't even want Jimmy to throw the ball against Minnesota.
No, I
against
know,
Green
which
Bay.
is why I was arguing for Brady. They didn't
So,
trust Jimmy.
I mean, if they didn't trust Jimmy then,
but
why
they've lacked conviction. You know what it is? The one thing you absolutely can say about Lynch and Shanahan, they have lacked conviction on the quarterback.
Yeah.
They didn't have the conviction about Mahomes. They didn't have the conviction about Watson. They traded up for Beathard and were waiting on Cousins. And then the only time they've shown any conviction was to trade for Garoppolo. And even so, it kind of fell into their lap. And you wonder how truly convicted they were on him, how wed they are to him. You know what I mean? It's like,
I honestly was hoping that they would trade up in the second round because in 2020 they took Kinlaw and then they took Ayuk, and Jalen Hurts was sitting out there, and I'm thinking, this guy's going to be good. This guy's going to be good, because I saw him at Oklahoma and I saw the vast improvement from Alabama to Oklahoma, and I was thinking, take a shot on this guy. Trade up around pick 35, 40.
did you like Baker?
Go? No, Jalen Hurts.
I'm just saying Baker was better at Oklahoma than Jalen.
Oh, yeah, but I liked the idea that Jalen was a guy that was mobile. And they were looking for somebody mobile because we knew, next year that they ended up drafting Trey. But imagine if they would have taken Jalen Hurts, and they had all those picks. They didn't need them all because their roster was full. They could have traded up, an extra fifth for, a second round pick, giving up one of their fifths because they didn't have anything after 1 and 2. They didn't draft again till like the 5th round. But why not take a flyer on a guy like Jalen Hurts in the second round? That's what I'm saying is I don't know why I can see some of these things and Kyle can't. He should know a lot more than I do, but
you know what you need to do, Danny? You need to write him a letter going into next year's draft and tell him who you like in next year's draft.
I'll be honest.
Because telling him who you like in last year's draft is not nearly as valuable as next year's draft.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't know a lot about Mahomes coming out because I didn't see much of him, but I saw a ton of Deshaun Watson, and I was saying that they should take Watson, and they, and everybody's saying, oh, it's too early to pick him at, would they have the second pick or third pick or whatever it was? And it was like, oh, it's too early to take Watson. I'm like, why? The guy's a winner. At the time, I mean, who knew what he was going to do, blow up his life, but, probably would have won him a Super Bowl.
No, I hear you. Shout out to Ortega says Purdy will be our savior. Yeah, we'll see. Bunless hot dog KRueg comparing Hurts to Lance. All I need to know, not the same players or play styles. KRueg doesn't research, obviously. You got me. You got me, Bunless. I was saying that they weren't alike. That they're not similar. That Hurts is more advanced. And also my comparison was just that people are saying right now that Hurts is like the success story of like Hurts is what they want Trey to be. The point is that let's see Hurts get from September through October, November, and wind up in December and January and win, playing this style where he's running 13 times a game, and let's see what he's got. I mean, I got a much different respect level for NFL defensive players, and I just don't think that any quarterback, I don't care how physical you are, you really can't subject yourself to hits from the Devin Whites of the world, because you're not going to last very long. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think the issue that I have, and it's not with Kyle as a play caller. And I'm not even going to go far as to say about his coaching, because he's gone to the Super Bowl. He's taken to the NFC title game with a middle-of-the-road quarterback. It's more of towards talent evaluation and taking, by trading up. Yeah, and development. By trading up, like Ryan's tweet, kind of trading up to draft Trey, put all this pressure and expectation that this guy, was going to be the savior and that he's ready to step in right away when he was the most raw of all the quarterbacks. Why not?
It wasn't very real with yourself, because you had to know, if you really do know quarterbacks, and we'll give you that and just say, hey, quarterbacks because you're Kyle Shanahan. if you scouted the guy and you know a ton about quarterbacks, then you had to know how raw this kid was and what kind of a learning curve he had. And then you also knew your urgency and your fan base's urgency to win in the present. And that almost is like a constant with this franchise since they've been here, is that they're super passionate about winning in the present. So I don't know. It's like you drafted the raw guy who needed to be developed, but did you ever really plan on giving him the time and the room to develop? Because it doesn't seem like it. It seems like they want to win so bad, and that the urgency to win is so bad and so real here on all levels. Fans, media, the whole culture is win, 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 win. They're so not willing to develop and wait and be patient. I can't even picture Trey Lance ever being afforded the kind of room and time that he's going to need to make the mistakes that he needs to make. Do you see what I'm saying? So I don't know. I really don't know how this thing is going to go in the future. I think it's
going to be a Brett Favre type situation
where he gets traded.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's going to end up being Brett Favre, but it's impossible at this point for him to get the requisite reps before the end of this contract, I feel like.
Well, here's the
I know. It's weird.
It's a really
it's a weird situation. It really is.
And that doesn't mean that Trey's a bust.
No, Trey's got talent. Trey's going to make it. But do they have enough? They don't have enough meaningless games coming up on their schedule to develop him on the field. He's going to have to develop by not playing and watching. And Steve Young did it.
Are you talking about next year? Or?
I'm just saying, like, Steve Young did develop behind Montana. Steve Young was a total wild quarterback when they got him. By the time he played, they got him in the 80s. By the time he played in the 90s, he was far more refined than he was the first day he walked through the door. If Trey totally works at it and they give him all kinds of reps off the field, maybe he could improve a little bit and maybe even a lot. But I can't see them just saying, you know what, next year, we don't care if we go to the playoffs. You just develop. People are too impatient here, don't you think?
Well, it's
absolutely.
Who knows? Yeah. I mean, they have to know what the fan base, they have to know the expectation of the organization. To me, trading up to number 3 to take the guy that was going to need the most time to develop was not a bright move, because you could have taken him at 13 where they originally were, 12th or 13th, or Mac Jones most likely.
Now that knowing what you know now about every one of these prospects, this might be kind of an interesting question. Knowing what we know now about Lawrence, about Zach Wilson, about Davis Mills, about Jimmy Garoppolo, about all the quarterbacks that are out there. If you could do that move, if you could do that thing again, what would you do? Would you stay in the teens and draft Mac Jones as he fell to you? Would you stay with Jimmy and go with Micah Parsons? After you traded up, would you have gone with Jamar Chase and given Jimmy like maybe the best receiver going?
I think I would have went with a Chase personally, got your receiver, and then I would have probably tried to get Davis Mills later.
Hey guys, we're missing super chats and people are complaining.
Are we?
Are we missing something? I keep looking. Am I not seeing them?
Maybe we're just honestly, guys. We weren't. Russell. Wait, this is the most frustrated. Oh wait, this is like the first one. Wait,
I'm not seeing that. If you have people are super chatting, put them up, Brian, if you see them, because maybe it's just my.
We hit this one. This is the most frustrating we've all been. Even the Ramsey, and there's nothing we.
Yeah, we did that one.
Okay.
We did that one.
Okay.
I think we did them all.
No, we love to imagine that. To imagine making that much money to be judged week to week, making Finn's analogy. Punt. Wait, punt. They won the game.
That's what you meant to say.
Dolphins making Fins.
Oh. Dan also complimented you for keeping track of the soups earlier. Stop being defensive, bud.
Russell's all over you. Russell is all over you.
I bet he might
be able to say how we feel. Yes, you absolutely should, Russell. Please keep roasting us. The hear me now was when you first got back from the internet issues, Larry. Your words, bud.
Sorry.
Hey, why am I not seeing these chats? Where are they?
I have a very good mouse that allows me to scroll up and down really quickly. Kyle should stay, but he needs to evolve. I think that we can agree on that. I think everyone can agree on that.
And what's the evolution? To me, it's just a matter of, look, everybody. Let's get everybody to do what they're great at. You know what I'm saying? Kyle Shanahan is a great play caller. Call plays. Let's get Scott McCloughan in here. He's a great personnel veteran executive. Let's get him in here. And so we start hitting on more of our picks. Not a slam on anybody in the personnel office, but just a resource because Adam Peters is probably going to get a job somewhere else as a GM.
I don't think they've actually done that bad with their picks as far as
no, they've done really well. But like a guy like McCloughan, I mean, one of the reasons that McCloughan was given so many opportunities is because this guy's got a really good eye for talent. I had an article in my stack of articles from The Athletic when he did his evaluation of the Niners draft last year. And you know who he loved more than anybody in the draft? Talanoa Hufanga. So a guy like McCloughan's got a really good eye for it. It would not hurt. I saw John Dorsey is in Detroit's war room. Brad Hopkins or whatever, or Brad Collins or whatever I think his name's Hopkins is the general manager for Detroit. But he's got a smart old, personnel goat there and right there giving him advice. Same thing. Niners could always use somebody like a McCloughan. I think he would be a nice addition to the personnel department, just so you keep hitting on big time players in the draft and because they're close. They're really, really close. I mean, look at this last draft. They did not have a number one pick because they gave it away for Trey Lance. And look at this draft. Look how many there's like between the practice squad and the regular squad. They've got like 13 or 14 rookies. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of rookies with a lot of potential here. They got a good eye for it. They really do. They just got to keep it going.
I think for some reason they have really missed since Kyle's been here on the quarterback.
Well, they've missed on offensive players across the board that he's endorsed. They missed on Dante Pettis. They traded up for Dante Pettis. Yeah, somebody fell in love with Dante Pettis. That was a bad evaluation. Trey Sermon, Jalen Hurd, C.J. Beathard.
Oh, yeah, Jalen Hurd. Oh, goodness.
And there's others. I mean. Joe Williams.
Great ones, though. He's had a lot of great ones.
They've had some good ones, but I mean, where they've missed for the most part, they missed on Solomon Thomas also in the top 5. But where they've really missed, if there's been any common denominator of their misses, they've missed on a lot of offensive skill position guys that you would think they probably deferred to Kyle on. Now, we don't have proof that Kyle endorsed each one of these guys, but it's his team. He's kind of the offensive mastermind, and several of these offensive players that they invested in just haven't done anything. So
somebody mentioned in the chat here,
I feel like Joe just Williams. Getting like Debo and Ayuk and Kittle, like those were all Kyle guys. Like that's
could have had Justin Jefferson.
Could have, should have, would have. I mean,
I'm just saying they haven't. They've done a decent job. I mean, McGlinchey.
He's done an excellent job, I feel like.
Speaking of Jefferson, he went 23, I believe, and they got Debo or Ayuk at 25.
Yeah.
Do you think they were going?
They wanted Kinlaw. They got Kinlaw first.
Right. Yeah, they got Kinlaw. Then they traded up to 25 to get Ayuk.
I think when Jefferson came off the board, they were, that probably made them trade.
Made the move. Do you think they were waiting? You think they were going to try and get Jefferson at that point? Or?
I think they probably like Jefferson. That would be my guess.
Surprised they didn't trade up a little bit more.
I mean, you can play that game forever in the draft.
Yeah. Just if you're looking at a guy over a few picks, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they claimed they loved Ayuk the most. And that, and also they had a connection because, Lynch has a good relationship with Herm Edwards, and Herm had coached him.
I think Ayuk's going to be.
Ayuk can see the attractiveness of Ayuk. Yeah, he's got incredibly long arms, broad shoulders. He's fast. He's got great hands.
I like Ayuk. I just think I would like to see more of Danny Gray, whether it be, how about this? How about putting Debo in the backfield with Gray, Jennings, and Ayuk? Now you've got, 4 skill guys out there that you don't know what's coming. If you're going to use Debo in the backfield, get that if you're using him at receiver, now you're kind of taking off one of the guys that you could have like Danny Gray for the speed. You put Debo in that backfield, move him out. You can even move him out into a flanker position out there where you got 4 wideouts all of a sudden, and then you can put him back in motion, whatever. You can really get creative with this offense, but they're not utilizing, to me, some of the skill things that they need. I think Danny Gray.
Here's one of them. Shante Ortega says Ayuk needs some carries. I'd like to see Ayuk on a reverse.
Ayuk's incredible with the ball in his hands. Yeah. Super underrated.
What do you think about getting the skill guys out there? Get the skill guys out there.
What do you think about picking up Odell when he's ready? I would not hate that. I mean, he's circled the Niners for a while.
He's got incredible ball skills. So I'm like, you can throw him.
Yeah, he can be your third down guy too.
Well, he can be covered. He can be totally covered in the red zone with no separation, and you can just stick it in there, and he's going to catch it because he's got crazy hands. Yeah, I wouldn't mind him seeing another receiver like that who's got premium ball skills. I wouldn't mind seeing another running back who could really run. Somebody who could get to the edges, somebody who was kind of scary, even if they were small. I think that'd be a nice compliment to what they have. They had one more kind of like home run hitter.
Yeah, they need a home run hitter.
Somebody who's a little bit more of like just if they, oh my God, you get it out in space to this guy and he makes one guy miss and there he goes.
That's Mitchell when he comes back.
Yeah. The crazy thing is if you think about, Jimmy, the thing with Jimmy is the Danny Gray. I mean, I understand that to run the Kyle Shanahan offense, you need the timing and the rhythm, and maybe he doesn't have that with Danny Gray yet because he didn't, wasn't in camp. But think about when they got Emmanuel Sanders, their connection was like, it was dead nuts on right away. And that's because Sanders is a veteran receiver who, Odell's that same kind of guy, similar points in their career, over the hill, but still can be kind of that guy. I'm not trying to, that's not going to freaking, make them all of a sudden this amazing team. I mean, I guess also,
they just have a couple clean drives. I mean, they can't execute a shuffle pass. They look like they're struggling to execute, and they just need to drill it and get on the same page. And maybe it's because Garoppolo wasn't there a good portion of the summer. It's maybe because they were going to try to put together kind of one kind of offense and emphasize certain kinds of plays, and maybe had to do an about face. So they've been practicing some things that maybe they're not going to do and kind of switching things up a little bit. I mean, I did hear Chris Forster kind of reference that this week, that there's some differences to the play calls without, the mobile quarterback who's going to run. But I mean, that's, that might be part of it. It's just that they just haven't had the reps, but they gotta really hone in, because guess what? Look at the schedule. Do you have the schedule in front of you?
I got it right here.
So
I just
go ahead. Go ahead. Name the quarterbacks, the next 6 quarterbacks they're playing.
Okay. They got
Stafford,
and then they've got Mayfield with the Panthers, and then Mariota, the Falcons, and then Mahomes, and then Stafford, and then Justin Herbert. And then Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I mean, Herbert, is struggling today because he's hurt.
He's hurt. Yeah, he'll be back.
Yeah, he's hurt. But I mean, you got some teams that are going to be able to put some points on the board and maybe put some pressure on you if you start slow. So
what kind of bothers me is that we've got the Rams twice in the next 5 games, and we may be without the best tackle You know.
Oh, yeah.
in
I
football
mean, good
for
luck
both games.
blocking Leonard Floyd. Hendricks says, I'm not worried about the quarterbacks, Larry. Our defense is fine. It's the offense, like always. Yeah, but these things aren't done in a vacuum. When you give up points and you lose contact with a team on the scoreboard, that's when the pressure really dials up on the quarterback. I mean, the 49ers are struggling to block, when the game's relatively even on the scoreboard. Wait until you fall behind by 2 touchdowns against a team like Kansas City. And they've got Frank Clark coming off one end and Karlaftis coming off the other end in a few weeks. That's going to be a huge challenge.
Hey, this thing has the potential. I mean, they need to – let's see. Let's look at this. Next week, they got the Rams. I think they can beat the Rams still.
I'll just say I'll be shocked and I will apologize. I'll do something shocking like to the chat. Like, I don't know. Well, I'll give an apology to the chat and maybe do something funny that I'll think of this week if the offense is not completely 180 degrees different next week in terms of scoring points and moving the ball up and down the field. I have no doubts.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're going to be a lot better. I mean, let's see what happens here. But they've got
this game with Denver was going to be a coin flip.
Yeah. Well, originally we had the Niners in the beginning of the year winning before we saw anything. Just looking at the schedule, we had them winning the first 2, and then we had them losing to Denver originally. So they're a game off. They should be 3-0, but at least 2-1 right now.
If they beat the Rams, they're back in first place.
Yeah. So the thing is next week really becomes a must win. It's
going to be interesting to see is how good is this Niner D? We don't really know.
I think it is.
They've played some bad offenses, so they've looked really, really good. Like if they go into next week's game and are absolutely shutting the Rams down, then maybe this defense is so elite that they've got more of a Super Bowl chance than we think. Because
I think that's it. I think that's what people are missing is I think this defense is the best defense in the league. And I think there's a little bit of a gap. I think we're looking at a defensive team here. This team is going to be all about defense and just can we limit the I mean, think about it. Niners are on the road in Denver. They have 3 turnovers. They have a safety, and they handed them a field goal, and they still almost won.
Really, you can count that safety as a turnover.
They won.
I mean,
Patel says Buffalo is better. I don't think there's any doubt Buffalo's better, but
not on defense.
Buffalo also lost Micah Hyde for the year today.
Yeah.
Or last week, and they didn't have Poyer today.
Yeah.
So Buffalo is really, really good because Josh Allen's terrific, and they've added some offensive weapons, and they've added a lot to their defensive front and Von Miller. But losing, guys on the back end, it's like you keep taking a little pieces away, and there's no other free agent market.
It's a Jenga stack, and you never know when it's going to fall down.
Exactly. And you never know which cog that you're taking out of the equation is the key cog that's going to make the whole thing tumble. And that's the one thing that's kind of encouraging about the 49ers right now is you would think Jimmy Ward is one of those pieces for the Niners, and they have not had Jimmy Ward. And look at this D. So if you add Jimmy Ward to this mix, he's like your most aware, smartest, most aggressive, player in the back end. You can't help but get better.
I mean, how about Armstead?
I'm interested.
Interior player, and they stopped the run against a freaking couple awesome running backs.
Yeah,
and Russell Wilson.
Great point. Yeah, they totally took away the run game without Armstead.
And I'm telling you, Trent Williams
and no Aziz either. Aziz was out. Aziz got out of there early.
But Trent Williams is a Jenga piece for the playoffs. Trent Williams, I'm telling you right now, is not a Jenga piece for the regular season. I'm saying that right now, getting ahead of it.
I'm hoping they can make do with a really good O-line coach because last year they got there with Brunskill and Compton on the right side, and they almost got to
2019. They had Staley was out, McGlinchey was out. They were on their third string center.
They're going to have to do it with some lesser guys. Going from Trent to anybody is, huge step down. And everybody knows it. So it's going to be, and then Hendrick says McGlinchey's a problem. That McGlinchey could be a problem. Physically, he looks like he's starting to wear out a little bit.
McGlinchey does look like, that play on the safety, him and Burford just got just totally beat at the line of scrimmage. Those were the two guys that were running in from the left side that, I guess it would have been the right side.
Is this true? They're 28th in points per game and 23rd in yards per game?
Through 3 games, and one was with a monsoon, and one, and then this.
But look at their weapons and look at their offensive coordinator. That's, to me, it's like, you know what? That's disappointing. I don't care who they are, who they've played, and how many games it's been. You have some of the biggest stars in this league and an offensive guru head coach. Should you be 28th in points, 23rd in yards? That part's a little baffling.
He needs to open it up. He needs to open up, at least be more aggressive in, remember that game last year they had to win against the Rams Monday night, and they just ran all over them. Hopefully we start to see that kind of domination because they have the guys. The question we had going into the start of the season was a little bit, is the offensive line with the 3 rookies, and Brendel I call kind of like a rookie. He's a center,
essentially the rookie guards who have been awesome,
right? And then you got McGlinchey, who's coming back from this big injury, and he doesn't seem. He's always had trouble pass blocking. He's been a great tackle for in running plays. He's one of the top 10, I think, in the league when it comes to running, but his pass protection has been, abysmal, and they've got to get that shored up because, Jimmy's going to get just killed. You can't keep letting that happen, but I've got to say that I want to see more of the skill guys. I really am a big Danny Gray fan. I really am. I've watched him in college. Guys constantly.
Who did he play for in college?
SMU.
Who was his head coach?
That you got me. I don't know the head coach.
Oh, you're a Cal guy.
Look at down here in the bottom of the screen here. K has 568 ladies. Greg, the Niners should
Sonny Dykes was
Sonny Dykes. He played for Sonny Dykes.
Yeah. Okay, Sonny Dykes. Okay,
now we got a guy saying the Niners ought to get Sonny Dykes.
Yeah. Oh, there. Okay, there it is in the chat. Yeah, Sonny Dykes. Yeah. Hey, speaking of Cal, what did you think of that freshman back?
I didn't see it. I didn't watch him.
Oh my goodness.
I hit a nice. I hit
77 yards. I think he had a 73-yard. TD and a 72-yard TD.
I had a 3-teamer tease on Saturday that I hit. I took Iowa against Rutgers. I took SC against Oregon State, and I took Utah against ASU with their head coach, their brand new head coach.
Did you take the points or just the win?
It was a teaser, so I was getting like a point. But that 4th down play, I would have lost on that 4th down play until SC pushed the quarterback back over the line. It was 4th and 2 late in that game, and the quarterback got stuffed for SC, and then their SCO lineman basically just pushed him like he was a stuffed animal over the line and kept the drive alive. And sure enough, boom, triple. Nice little 3 for 3. And then I gave it back today on the NFL. Thank you, Colts. How did the Chiefs not beat the Colts today? That was crazy.
The NFL, it's just insanity. It's why this league is awesome.
Absolute insanity.
I in my Survivor League, I didn't pick the Colts because the Chiefs, because I felt like the Colts were home. They had to win. They were 0-1-1, and it's like they're too much talent to just be 0-2-1, and I just kind of thought the Colts would give them a game. I didn't know if they'd win or not, but I certainly didn't feel it was an easy win. I only feel
Clearly,
like
you were right. You were right. Matt Ryan last week looked so bad. He looked so old. He was throwing lollipops. Yeah, they didn't look good at all. I don't know. Kansas City, it's amazing that somehow. And there was a bad call that went against Chris Jones on that final drive. It was like a 16-play drive that would have gotten KC would have gotten off the field, I believe, except for a bad call on Chris Jones that extended that drive. So sometimes there's always a little shenanigans going on. All right, let's do this. We've been talking for 2 hours and 42 minutes. We're coming up on 1 a.m. So why don't we do this? We'll pay the bills, and then we'll come back with some final thoughts on the KRueG show, and then we'll get out of Dodge for our 49er post-game edition of the KRueG show. Larry Krueger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environments. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, make sure you use telmetrics.co, TELMETRIX.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the KRueG. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coach Emilio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist. And you can contact him today at securemoney.com or at his number 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you, and you can sit down. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And thanks to Dan Coach Emilio and all the people at Secure. And thanks to Tony Casera and the good people at Casera's Italian Menswear. They are housing the KRueG Show t-shirts, and they're a proud sponsor of the show as well. The KRueG Show t-shirt, the KRueG Show podcast t-shirt is available there at their store in Dublin. Their address is 7372 San Ramon Road in Dublin, California. And go see Tony Casera and get yourself a KRueG Show t-shirt and support the show. And special thanks to our sponsor, New York Style Italian Sausage. That's right, NewYorkStyleSausage.com is their website. Phenomenal product, whether it's the breakfast sausage, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo. You cannot go wrong with New York Style Italian Sausage. Once again, NewYorkStyleSausage.com. Often imitated, never equaled.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
So New York Style Sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York. from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never going to deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
Hey, do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
All right, my sausage is juicier than your sausage. I just wanted to get that out of the way. All right, let's go back to the chat here before Danny. We give Danny a good 60 seconds to vent on the Giants. Let's see. We got this one from K has 568 ladies. Krug, who do you think the Niners should get to quarterback in the off season? At this point, we don't know. I would say check back. I like Will Levis from Kentucky as far as prospects in this year's draft, but I like Trey, and I'm willing to let Trey develop. And maybe that development has to happen over the course of years, and it might be wise to invest in just a second quarterback. But who that quarterback should be, who's a complement to Trey? What if they win this year with Jimmy? I mean, there's just so many unknowns. Who's available? How much pressure is there from Jed and the Niner ownership group for the current regime to win a Super Bowl? Do they get impatient if they miss the playoffs this year? Is Aaron Rodgers going to be out there available? Is Baltimore going to pay Lamar? Is Kirk Cousins available? I mean, there's just a lot of different questions that I'd want to know. But I'm okay with Lance coming back and giving it another go.
Yeah. Hey, before we, I don't want to miss any of these. There's been some people said we've missed some super chats, and we never want to do that. We got a lot of comments tonight, and
I don't think that's true.
Did we get this one already?
No. Where did that come from?
It came at 11:57. I've been going through these trying to get.
11:57. Bundles hot dog. Here's $5. I'm giving you money to say Kyle is not a leader of men and can't develop a quarterback. He's a system coach and a micromanager. A veteran quarterback needs to check him. All right. I would say this. Ryan and I are in that locker room, and there's no wavering on Kyle as a coach, as a leader, you're more than welcome to donate, and you're more than welcome to chat and throw anything you got out there. And I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. All I can tell you is we're in the room. It's not like a theoretical discussion. We're in the room. We're talking
everybody,
to guys.
You got to give Kyle, as much as you could say he's not a leader of men, you got to give Kyle credit because he is the tip of the spear for the culture. And, everybody in that locker room that we've talked to, and we've talked to damn near half the roster at this point, is a great freaking guy who's given us their time and has been super thoughtful. And it's just, there's a great vibe in there. Everyone says they feel super welcomed. Everybody's helping each other out. And it really seems like the goal is to win a Super Bowl. So,
there's this overwhelming respect also for Kyle.
Overwhelming.
Yeah. So it's like all this talk about, Peyton and this guy, get this guy in and that's just, it's fine. I mean, we can talk about it. It's just not going to happen. But
I don't see them making any move. And like I said, Kyle's got him to the NFC Championship last year with what we would say at best and middle of the road quarterback. And 2 years prior to that, got him all the way to the Super Bowl, was just, a couple of minutes away from winning the Super Bowl, should have won the Super Bowl. This isn't a guy.
Let me just throw this to you guys. Knowing who's out there, like we know who's not available, right? Herbert's not available. Patrick Mahomes, not available. Trevor Lawrence, not available.
Oh, yeah,
but if I just said to you, Thank you, Shanti Ortega. The KRueG Show, often imitated, never equaled. If I said to you, who's your guy? Who's your guy that's either a quarterback that is just not on that list of not attainable, or is in college, or who is the attainable quarterback that isn't Jimmy, isn't Lance, that you want to see the 49ers go pursue? I'd love to know. I'm not being argumentative. I'm not assuming anything. I'm willing to listen to what people have to say. Is there somebody out there, if you called up and said, hey, I believe wholeheartedly in Jared Goff. Okay, fine. Jared Goff
is an archetype.
Jared Goff looked pretty good today, by the way, for Detroit.
I'll give you an archetype. So the beginning of the season, like one of the reasons why I think we all were sort of talking about this, why we were confused at the draft pick of Brock Purdy, and sort of like the weirdness of running with Sudfeld and Purdy, like assuming Jimmy G was gone, is that, clearly he spent a lot of time developing this offense around Trey Lance and this kind of, creating sort of a tailoring it to Trey Lance's skill set. And you see what they did in Baltimore. They tailored it to Lamar Jackson, and then they brought in a backup that could do all of those things just at a worse level. I just would love to try and find somebody that could do a lot of the similar stuff that Trey does, because what I don't want happening is if Trey gets injured again or something happens, I don't want this situation where Jimmy G comes in and now they don't know what they're doing because they tailored the offense around Trey Lance's skill set. And now it's like, now if he wants to be creative, he could have had a whole offseason to be creative with the Jimmy G stuff, but now it feels like they're just retreading some of the stuff that worked from last year, and it's very boring. So I just kind of want, I want a quarterback room that's going to match the skill set of whoever it is.
So that being said, if here we are, it's 3 weeks into the regular season, you have Trey Lance under contract, you have Jimmy for the rest of the year, you have Purdy in-house. Give me a quarterback. Give me a quarterback. You want Daniel Jones? Really?
It depends. Do we want to back up to Trey Lance with upside?
Well, yeah. You want to win. You want a quarterback that you want to take a chance in. Who's a quarterback that you would want to add to this room and take a chance with?
I'd take a chance at Danny Dimes if we're talking young and upside, and if we're talking veteran, older, wise statesman, I'll take Tyrod.
Okay. How about Jacoby Brissett will be a free agent next year as a backup? Someone similar skill set.
How about Rodgers? Do you want to take a shot on Rodgers?
Hell, freaking yeah! I'd take a shot on Rodgers.
Totally.
It would take the pressure off.
You want to take a shot on Cousins?
I feel like I would guess maybe, but I like the idea maybe of a Rodgers or a Brady, someone that is unimpeccable. So if they have to sit Trey down for another year, or let's try and take the pressure off of Trey Lance. If Trey Lance is if we're still Trey Lance is still the guy, let's try and take some of the pressure off him.
It's interesting. It's like if Trey needs 2 or 3 years of development and you don't want to give it to him, what do you do? It's like, do you trade him? That's the weird thing, because I think it's pretty clear that he needs some development. Do you want to do it? Do you believe you can do it? Seems like they're wed to this plan. Will they? But we also thought they were wed to Trey as the starter until they weren't. Yeah. Until all of a sudden they hedged. So yeah. I got to think at this point they're probably hedging. It makes you wonder. What if Jimmy has a good year, but they go to the playoffs, they don't win, and he leaves at the end of the year, and you've got Trey coming back, but then Shanahan's belief is that it's going to take 2 years to develop Trey. Do you move him?
And then maybe we can get Trey on one of those Steph Curry contracts
to Arizona for a Kyler Murray.
I wouldn't want Kyler in the room.
No, if Rodgers wants out at Green Bay, if they don't win it, and Jimmy gets into the playoffs, and Niners don't.
Would you move him for Kirk Cousins?
I'd move Trey Lance to Green Bay for Rodgers.
Yeah.
That's interesting too.
Because I think you'd have 2 or 3 good years left of Rodgers.
Brian Windhorst meme conspiracy. The Packers drafted Christian Watson. They don't seem to be using him this year. Could it be for the future?
Hey, we got these old chats.
That's interesting too.
This is from these. Like I said, we apologize for somehow missing these.
Yeah, sorry, Russell.
This came up about 11:20-ish, I believe. So, and we've got some more behind that came in before that. So we're going backwards.
I think we read these.
I'm not sure. Did we? I don't recall.
Not this one, but go ahead. Come on, fellas. Not saying we trade for Bridgewater. We're saying Kyle needs to figure it out. Debo's runs were ill-timed. I agree, Ryan. Go ahead. You got another one? Put it up there.
Yeah, and following
Trey is more strong. Wait. Danny GTV. I went to Denver for the game. Tough loss. Good show, Larry and company. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you, Danny G.
You got another one there, Danny?
Let me go back here.
Danny G, Danny C.
It bounces the other way. What? I don't remember that. Yeah, I think Russell was a little upset because we missed a lot of his chats and they were coming in because it's a live ball, Dan. Come on, bro. If it bounces in the air and they recover, we say, why not? I don't remember what we were talking about there.
Oh, this was at 11:13. Dang it.
So we lost track of this because I got kicked off the chat and then I jumped in later. And then we keep calling up other ones. 49er George 365 donates $19.99. When watching Trey throw deep, I believed he would complete his attempt. When I see Jimmy throw deep, I cringe from cumulative PTSD. We threw the ball deep. We threw the deep ball threat away for quarterback runs. Wasteful. I'm in pain. Thanks, Larry K. No, I believe me. I hear you. They had a deep ball thrower in Lance. And yet, even though they had well over a year to develop him, they couldn't develop him enough to allow him to throw. So, to listen to all the people who are defending the plan, the theory is that Shanahan was just doing what Trey could do, and that's why they ran him as much as they did. And now, of course, he's hurt. So,
wait, Larry, did we reach 7,000 subs?
Yeah, we did. We did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Tonight?
Yep.
Wow.
It was in there. We had a ton of chats here. Here's another one. This must have been, hey, come on, I'm having fun. San Bernardino High School class. Oh, this is when we were talking about where'd you play? Gosh, how did we miss these? Sorry, Russell.
I think maybe we're not getting them all tonight. Maybe there's something wrong with
I think what it is we're not used to this volume of chats. So
we got a new one down here.
Hey, wait a
Russell
minute.
says, thanks for going back to find every one of them.
Russell,
Russell.
Russell, we will do anything to keep you here.
Hey,
we really appreciate you.
Yeah, San Bernardino High. I'm from Northern California, but I lived in Southern California. Used to work in San Bernardino. Lived in Ontario. San Bernardino High School, 98. You know, I was gone, but Ronnie Lott went to Eisenhower High School in Rialto, which is right next to San Bernardino.
How
do I know that? Because I actually worked in the Yellow Pages with his first cousin who knew him extremely well. When I was working I was working at the Yellow Pages, the Donnelly Directory back in 1986.
What'd you do for him, Danny?
I was a salesperson selling ads. Yeah.
What was your pitch?
Eisenhower was a powerhouse.
What was your pitch? Hey, look, man, you don't get in these Yellow Pages. Nobody's going to hear about your ass. All right. So, you know what? You can pay me or you can go out of business. Is that what you were?
I actually had to work. I did the
what was your
San
pitch?
Bernardino book. I don't even remember. That's many, many years ago, but 86, 87, 88, actually. Donnelly Directory.
Did you manage his money? Shante Ortega says, did you manage his money?
Manage whose money?
Ronnie's?
Ronnie's? Oh, I wish I
Ronnie's,
did. I wish I did.
Patel says, can't wait for 95.7 the game tomorrow. Can't listen to KMBR anymore. 49er propaganda.
So did we catch up? It looks like we caught all of Russell's. What position did he say he played? I don't remember.
Jason PDSI says, "Damn, y'all still going? Seriously, it's 1:14 in the morning.
Well, I didn't even realize.
1:14. We're 3 hours in. All right, let's bolt for the door. Everybody inside my house is sleeping.
Mine too. Even Buster and Faith.
Where's
Let's
Buster and where's Faith?
Ringo keeps turning off my freaking lamp. I don't know if you guys can see it, but he keeps moving.
Faith is right there.
Faith looks a little like maybe she needs some energy.
Yeah, she's pretty tired. Well, it's 1:15. Where's Buster? Hey, Buster, come here.
Look at
there's
Faith
Buster.
jumped up quick though.
Yeah, there's Buster.
Look at Buster. All it takes is just a quick little mention, and there they are.
Sit down, sit, buddy.
Oh, look at Ringo down below.
Hey, buddy. You good boy.
Just woke up, but he can always catch the ball.
Oh, Ringo. What is going on with Ringo?
All right. So
look at that. Look at that. Right in front of the green screen.
Hey, look at that. He looks like he's ready to jump down onto the field.
Shante Ortega. Faith looks sleepy.
Faith is a little sleepy. Faith is
Jimmy 2.0 says they want a midnight snack.
Yeah.
Danny, they watch you eat so damn much. What do you give them a midnight snack?
I give him a little treat right before bed. Yeah.
I dare you to scream at the top of your lungs for your wife to give him a snack. That would be hilarious.
She's asleep. I'm not.
Come cook the Costco wings for the dog.
Honey, get down here. Faith needs a snack. Buster needs a snack. Fast forward, Danny's like in divorce court.
Yeah,
What happened was we just hadn't been getting along, and
You know what? If that happened, I'm you know who I'm calling on.
Who's that?
We grew up with a Sunday dinner.
That's probably who she's going to next.
Oh, good catch, Ringo.
Ringo's got a sweet coat. I will say that. Ringo. I didn't realize Ringo's.
Be careful! Don't jump, Ringo. Don't jump.
Did you know what Ringo's part Chow Chow?
Yeah, I bet Ringo. You bet Ringo.
But did you know Ringo was part Chow Chow?
Yeah, you could see it in him.
It's the black.
I don't see it. Because those dogs have ridiculous amounts of hair.
Yeah, they're crazy.
It looks like Ringo's ready to don't jump. The way you had him, it looks like he's about ready to jump off the third deck onto the field there. Yeah.
Shante Ortega says, "Keep it down, Larry. I don't want you to get in trouble." LOL.
Russell says it's Monday breakfast now, bro. Honestly, maybe you know what? Okay, I'm proposing something very nice.
Says, great show, Krug. It was therapeutic. By the way, it's UE instead of EU, but it's all right.
Wait, okay, anyway. You know what?
Greg Harris says it's 1:16 in Arizona now. You're right, Greg.
And I'm still lost, and it's still a fucking train wreck. All right,
I'm gonna do something awesome. Because I feel so bad that we missed all of Russell's super chats for so long.
Do I still have Penny? Yes, I still have Penny.
That 11:15 range.
Okay, what do you think about this? A lot of these
people the Giants for 5 minutes.
A lot of these people don't know about the legend of Mark Graves. What if we gave Russell mute power on Dan?
Hey, come on! I don't need any more guys muting me. Okay.
I'd go for that.
He might just boot me.
Yeah, seriously. What have we let Russell? We let Russell kick Dan off the show.
We got to let Russ cook.
He did say ha ha ha. So,
wow. I mean, maybe we try it out for a week, see how it goes. Graves!
Oh, look at that, Graves!
Take me, Graves!
Graves rises up in the chat and just says, "Listen, man, I'm an OG. I'm an OG.
I will try to make him reply in real time."
Russell's please reply in real time so we can have a decent discussion instead of.
Yeah.
You guys seen that commercial where the guy's on a date and he looks across the table at the woman and she says, "I love you." And he just stares right at her, right? Just like stares bullet holes right through her. And then she gets up all indignant and walks away. And then she's walked away for like a second and he goes, "I love you too." And then it says on the bottom of the screen, "Life is all about timing," and it's like, it's epic. It's the same kind of thing. It's like if you send a chat at 11:35, I don't know, it takes away from it if we answered at 1:15.
I think that's
Yeah, I
probably.
think
you know what I mean?
Val Ramos, the answer to that is no. Those dogs do not sleep with me.
Do they
Too
have
big.
beds? See, we
Yes.
got our dog a bed, but she keeps chewing it up.
Yeah. Well, here, Faith has chewed up beds, many beds. Oh, you got a golden retriever. Yeah, they're going to chew them up. So I took the beds out of the crate. Now she's just on the hard plastic, which is kind of annoying because her nails, you hear them and when she moves around, but I can't have her eating up the bed. She eats the stinking foam out of the beds. I think that's why she's so fat. I think she's full of memory foam. I'm serious. I'm beginning to think if you look at how fat she is.
Maybe
But
she's full of memory
squishy?
foam.
I think she's memory foam. I call her memory foam Faith. Faith, what are you doing?
She's a foam finger.
Look at how
Because
fat she is.
Arizona's so freaking hot, do they want to stay on the off the carpet and on the linoleum
On the tile, yeah. I
or
mean,
the tile?
It's totally
Yeah.
the memory foam and has nothing to do with the fact that they get a treat every night before bed.
actually,
Greg Harris, are doggy beds even a thing? Oh, wait a second.
hey, we got it in the
Russell
chat.
J, here's $5. Maybe hire a mod of some sort to track these if your traffic is going to keep at these numbers. I hope it does. This was needed therapy after the game. Oh, yeah, we're going to have big numbers because we got a lot of 49er videos.
Russell probably
and a
doesn't know about
a lot of good
Russell's
content coming.
fairly new, I think. I'm assuming is fairly
To the
new
world?
Wait,
to the channel.
Larry,
to the
we
channel.
haven't put this one out yet.
He hasn't.
We want them. We want people in the chat to be able to ask questions. Like when we're doing these interviews on Wednesday and Thursday, like we've been getting 4 or 5 player interviews each day in the locker room. We want to be able to bring some questions straight from the KRueg show. We'll say Russell J wants to know. Kyle,
Seriously. Well, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow or Tuesday. We'll do a live stream and we'll take questions that we'll bring down to Santa Clara for the fans.
Russell
And we'll
doesn't
have
know
some, and
about
then the best questions we'll give one of that.
he's fresh out of the womb.
completes.
Yeah,
fresh out of the womb, $2. Fresh out of the womb.
That's fresh out of the womb, $2.
This is what we do around here late night. These guys got me to eat this stuff, and it's called chicken breast and mashed potatoes with gravy. But this is how would you
Gross.
describe this? Is it's not
It's not even
refrigerated.
backpacking food.
It's not frozen. I got a ton of these at one point.
It's probably
for
outlawed in like 7
survival
states.
food. Wait a minute, guys.
Gavin Newsom won't allow us to have that here.
We can't eat this now. Look at the
Why, it's out of date?
on there.
I
Can you
can't see it.
it says 2/2/22.
It's actually about 9/9/22. It just expired this month. This has been sitting in my food pantry for a year. Bought it.
Shante
in 21.
Ortega, aka Chicken Ass.
Yeah,
That's
chicken
what we've been
ass.
calling it.
Yeah, this is chicken. Now I can't even. Now you guys can't even get me to eat this thing for fun at 1:30 in the morning to have some fun and say cook it because this stuff could actually make me keel over if I.
Guess who's coming back on the show who wants to know was asking me about that not that far back was the great Ned Coletti.
Oh,
Ned's gonna be on the show. He's like, what's that complete stuff that Danny keeps eating?
Ned was asking about it.
Yeah. Like, oh, it's great stuff, Ned. It's really, really good. Really, really good.
Really good. Now I do need some new ones now because my what do you call this stuff again?
Did you finish up those air fryer wings?
I had a few more today. They are good.
You know what I made over the weekend?
I
did fried onion strings.
Oh, I love those. Those are awesome.
So I got a mandolin cutter.
Yeah.
Cut these potatoes up, soaked them in buttermilk, then put some flour with some salt, pepper, and some cayenne pepper, and then just dropped them into about 2-3 inches of oil, and just did 3 onions. Man, they were so incredible, absolutely incredible.
Shante, no.
I'd pay to see Ned eat completes.
We'll get him some. Yeah. No, that's hilarious. I would say, this is not going to be eaten. It's going to be going into the trash. But I'll get a new supply just for.
Arlo P just tweeted at me completes. I think he's watching on Twitter.
Oh, hey, the other night I did.
Somebody asks we remember Kool-Aid. Are you kidding me? Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah,
The commercials were epic. Remember the wasn't there a Kool in the Gang Kool-Aid commercial? Or was that a light beer commercial with the bowl?
I remember that. I just remember Kool and the Gang. Aren't they the ones that celebrate tonight?
Celebration. Yeah.
Hey, the garlic bread that I bought and I advertised the other night from Costco. Don't buy it. It's horrible.
Really?
Worst garlic bread I've ever had. It was just like a rock. Terrible.
What's your favorite thing to get at Costco? You go into Costco, you can get two things. What are you getting?
Tires. No. No.
They do have a good deal on tires.
Yeah.
Oh no.
What am I getting if I get
two things at Costco that you're like, damn, I love it. I love it. I'm getting it again.
The Broncos Twitter account totally roasted us.
Why?
This is the Denver Broncos account.
And what are they saying?
It's just holding a W.
Oh man.
Who's us?
Them.
Oh God, Rye, you got to get over that, man. Russell J said, "Here's $2. Dan, you need a food intervention." You really do. I mean, Dan, I got to be honest. When I look at some of the things you eat, I'm thinking, I'm just happy. I'm just grateful for every day you're on the show.
I don't need
every day we go, you know what? Hey, Dan, is Dan going to join us? I'm like, Dan's still here. He's still with us.
My favorite thing
he's you know, I mean, he's been eating that completes. I mean, it's got to be any day now, any day.
Well, I do get a lot of the berries, the frozen blueberries, because I have a smoothie every morning, first thing.
Look at you.
That's my breakfast. So I do eat. I kind of have some healthy parts.
What's in that smoothie? Just blueberries?
No, I've got some. I'll show you. Hold on here. Let me grab my.
Put one together. I'm sure your wife would love to hear that blender.
You're trying to get me in trouble every time.
Can you imagine these all these frozen strawberries going through the blender? 1:00 in the morning, Arizona. Is Arizona on the same time as we're on? Are we all at 128?
It's a 1 hour difference, or is that no?
Right.
Are we 228 right now in Arizona? Or are we 128?
No, we're 128. Yeah, here we go.
Are the bars closed at 2 there still?
I wouldn't know much of it, but probably.
You don't know what time the bars close?
I don't go to the bars, Larry. You know that.
Oh my God! But you gotta know. You gotta know what time. I mean, seriously.
Well, the only way I would know was back in 20. I think it was 2017, 18. I was doing some Uber driving late, just trying to make some extra money, and I did remember picking people up at 2. Yeah, so. But this is what goes in my smoothie.
Greg says 2 a.m. Yep. What do you got there? Organic protein.
Yeah.
Those peanuts?
This one's peanut butter flavor. They have vanilla. I like the peanut butter because then I put a banana in it and some berries, and that's it. And
banana, berries, and peanut butter.
Just peanut butter flavored, yeah. But I like the vanilla one with
and
it.
What's the overwhelming flavor? Like when you're drinking it, is it taste more like blueberries, more like bananas, or more like peanut butter?
It's kind of weird. It's like all three you can kind of taste. Yeah.
So I'll go fruit smoothie, but I go pineapple, strawberries, fresh berries, like either raspberries or like blackberries, some blueberries, some yogurt, and some lemonade. And I'll mix that whole thing together, and it comes out. It's like kind of a maroon concoction, and it's awesome.
And when you're done with that, you go after this bad boy.
Yeah, I'd rather have the hot dog that's sitting on the wheel at 7-Eleven than eat that.
Hey, you know it is not a bad deal though.
Russell J says snozberries.
Or is that snoozeberries? Snozberries. Okay.
Gilbert Arbalo, I'm your huckleberry.
Hey,
Okay.
the best deal.
Someone
though,
said add spinach. No, hell no. Not adding spinach.
you know
It's
what
a
the
nightmare.
best deal in America still is though?
What's that?
It's a hot dog and a Pepsi for $1.50 at Costco.
You know, it's funny. I've never eaten that stuff at Costco. It just their pizza is just ass. Have you had their
It's not
pizza?
bad. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not
No,
bad.
it's not bad. My God.
It's just full of cheese, though. It's just the hot dog though.
What
is
I'm
a
going to take away
foot-long
from
hot
this,
dog
what
for
I'm going to take away
$1.50.
from this whole live stream is that Jimmy G ain't bad and their Costco pizza ain't bad. You're just a man with low. You're out of your core. You're a man with low standards.
Oh, what is Graves saying? 2 items at separate ends of the spectrum for Dan. Completes to organic protein shake.
Wait, by the way, did you know the I'm your Huckleberry? You know that from Tombstone?
Right.
Did you know that Ringo's original owner, my former coworker at the Adam Carolla show, his name's Ringo, named after Ringo
Star?
No. The bad guy from Tombstone, who he says that line to, Ringo.
Oh yeah.
Whatever. But that guy, the actor who played that guy, Michael Biehn, is the father of the guy who had Ringo. So Ringo's original grandfather was Michael Biehn. Did I explain that horribly?
Yeah, no, I got it. I'm with you. I'm following.
Yeah.
I need could you pass out a flow chart later on?
Yeah.
That would help.
Yeah.
Spy versus Spy says Costco dogs kick ass.
Not bad. You can put
Carlo P
mustard.
says is Purdy the lobster from Costco. You know what I don't mind are the lobster raviolis from Costco.
Yeah.
Have you had those? Put
You
those
know
put those in a little broth.
They are very good. They're
Throw
very
in
good.
some
pretty good.
herbs in there. That's pretty good.
Wait, we should
Have
start
you-
doing some sort of thing with
You know what's
consequences.
really good at Costco. I was in on these for a while, and then I had to
I like
get
those
off
little
of them.
Armenian sandwiches, those turkey
Those-
roll-ups with the
Yeah.
lettuce and the cheese.
The cinnamon rolls that are like you just put them in the microwave. for like-
Cinnamon rolls.
Oh, they're just in one of those plastic trays.
Have you heard? There's a thing called.
really good.
If we ever did like some sort of thing where we all had to make picks or something, and then like the loser had to do some sort of challenge. There's something called the Costco challenge that we'd make people do in college. You have to go to the Costco food court. You can't get smoothies, don't count. You have to spend $20 at the food court, and you have to eat it all.
Oh, jeez.
So
They do give you a lot of food. That's a lot of dogs.
yeah, so it's like
$20.
You know what I would do? I'd spend my money all on churros.
Yeah.
Oh, churros are really good. Yeah,
I mean, and
that's
also
20
you
of them,
can-
Larry. Can you down
Yeah, but
20
no-
of those?
Well, they're not $1.
Yeah, they are.
Are they? I
Yeah,
think
they're
they're more
$1.
like $3.
No, they're
Prices.
$1. They're
I could go 6 of them, 7 of them. Russell J says, "Here's $5. This is completely off the rails. I love it."
Yeah.
And this is kind of our.
Oh, Russell, you think this is off the rails?
Hey,
This
Russell,
ain't
you want to
nothing.
go back and look at some of the old shows? I got off the line of scrimmage. They had me.
true. Dan ran the 40.
They had me running the 40 on this show.
Seriously, we
Yeah,
were on for the
60
entirety of the NBA draft. All right, that's all you need to
60-year-old
know.
With 60-year-old off the ball. Wasn't too bad. was
Russell,
I?
you don't realize that all throughout the month of June, Ryan and I had to listen to different trades where the Giants would land Mike Trout.
Yeah. We do these 3-hour live streams 4 days a week, 5 days
Danny
a
was
week.
trading for
5
Trout,
days a week
like
for
left
the
and
freaking
right.
Giants. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Let's
there
how
is the
would you break
Costco
that up?
menu. There, wait, let's do
149.
that. How much are the churros? 149.
Yeah. So
Wait a minute. They gone up? Where's that at? They're $1 in Arizona. At least they used to be. I haven't looked
Those
at
little
them for
ice
a
cream
while.
sundaes look good. Man,
Oh,
that
yeah.
hot dog. Now that hot dog looks like ass.
it's massive.
$1.50.
That is
$1.50.
ridiculous. Who
You see,
wants
the chicken,
that?
the chicken bake, you're adding money up, with the chicken
And
bake. at
Pepsi
$2.99.
sucks, by the way. Pepsi stinks.
I mean,
We'll get this one
10
from
slices
Russell.
of
He
pizza?
says, Dan, were you doing rails?
There have been a lot of allegations of drug use, especially when we were at the ballpark. But we were stone cold.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
we
you
were
should have
having-
seen go check out the episode of Danny and Rye at the park. It's like Curious George goes to the game or something. It was like these guys.
Hey, when Jock hit that home run,
stalking VR and VR's family.
Danny is like, about ready to get shot in the parking lot, following some poor innocent bystander with his YouTube camera. Guy probably robbed a bank. Was about to kill Dan. Didn't even realize it.
Yeah. He turned around. Yeah, that would have.
Hey, what are these things over in the far? Not the far right. That's a Pepsi. What's the second from the right? What is that?
Those are chicken bakes.
The chicken bakes. They're pretty good, and they're $3.
Like chicken pot pie sandwich or something.
No, they're chicken and cheese and ham in there.
I think there's a little bit of like ranch dressing.
Chicken cordon bleu, kind of a chicken cordon bleu.
Yeah, a little bit of a bleh.
Yeah, I think the loser of the fantasy league should have to go in there and on film and get $20, and we watch him just eat it all.
When the kids were little, we had a birthday party, and I think we did. My daughter was like, it was like right in the middle of the summer. It was right in the middle of the summer, right? So we like had this birthday party with all of her friends, and we wound up. My wife misestimated like how many pizzas we were going to need. We ordered like 23 pizzas, some ridiculous amount of number of pizzas, and they were so cheap, right, from Costco. So we're like, who cares? And so then we gave basically everybody who came to the party like a whole pizza. Here, take it home. This, and we had so many pizzas sitting around. And I seriously, for like 5 nights in a row, I had to eat Costco pizza just because we had bought all these pizzas. My wife, let's not get, we don't want to waste it. So I mean, night after night after night after night of just pepperoni Costco flat, greasy, terrible pizza.
And Larry's yelling, Amy, I can't take it anymore.
I didn't realize
I don't care whose birthday it is. Enough of the goddamn pizza. It freaking sucks.
The hot dog.
Are you kidding me? This is the Jimmy Garoppolo of pizzas. Damn it.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy, if I see you on Wednesday, don't take that personally. Pete says, how many pounds have you gained? Yeah, exactly.
For Jimmy ridiculous. Being a guy that
Shante says Pepsi is fire. Oh my God. If there's Pepsi and Coke and you choose Pepsi, I gotta wonder about that.
I'm choosing Pepsi every time.
What? Are you the new Pepsi generation?
I just love Pepsi over Coke.
There's more sugar in Pepsi than Coke. Did you know that?
Maybe that's why I like it more. It tastes it's just sweeter, yeah.
Face palmed Godzilla, Larry has Costco pizza PTSD. Yeah, here we go. Eric Gomes, Coke is the drink. I mean, come on. I'd much rather have a Coke. Benji says Coke. Coke over Pepsi. Come on. And here's the other one. When did somewhere along the line, Russell J says Subway is going to be livid about the Jimmy G pizza reference. Yeah. By the way, didn't it seem like there was a point there, and maybe I'm wrong, but I could have swore like when I was like in college, like in the 90s, that like Togos, or maybe it's Two Goes. I'm not really sure. I always called it Togos. Some people might call it Two Goes. I always thought Togos was like the better sandwich place than Subway. And yet, look at Subway. Subway has just exploded in the last decade.
Togo put 10 times more meat on their sandwiches.
Exactly.
That's how Subway got big.
Seriously, Subway is like, they're measuring out every piece of ham. Togo's was like a big old hoagie. Like you couldn't get your hand around a Togo's.
Hey, look at that! Somebody says Pepsi sponsors the Niners. Yeah,
look at that. Yeah, they do. That's right. You've seen their stuff on the stadium.
All right. Well, there we go. I mean,
there's such thing as a Mexican Pepsi, and if so, is it better?
Mexican Coke, Pepsi Zero.
Ooh, here we go. Shante Ortega, Togo's warm roast beef.
Oh yeah, Togo's was.
I'll tell you the Togo's that I love is the cold roast beef with the avocado.
Ooh-wee. I used to love to go to Togo's right there on Treat and Clayton Road in high school. On my way to Clayton Valley High, driving up Clayton Road, pick me up a Togo's sandwich.
Russell J says Subway is the Jimmy G of sandwiches. I like a Subway, but it's not Togo's.
No, it's
Yeah.
not even a
It's not even
sandwich.
close.
It's just Subway. Like it's like if you're in the mood for Subway, I guess you'll have some Subway, but it doesn't taste. You taste like Subway, like the way a
I know,
Twinkie's not a dessert.
It's hard to get a good Subway sandwich. You got to really work it. You got to really throw a bunch of things in there. I'll go like turkey bacon just to try.
Oh,
to,
yeah.
Bacon, yeah, with some provolone cheese.
It's hard
maybe?
to ruin bacon.
Put some.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you like it? How they used to years ago? You just got it cold. Now they put it in the little oven. You like it baked or cold?
What's that? I like my toast. I like my my bun toasted. Yes, toasted.
Yeah, toasted. Yeah, it's better toasted. Yeah. So yeah, I had a Subway
Now
a
we've
couple
got
days ago.
Accurate description of Jimmy the quarterback. Well done, Russell. $2 more.
Well,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
quarterback would
Russell just-
Quiznos be?
Russell's just emptying the clip in
Oh,
the
I
show.
know.
I mean, it's
He basically
this is
owns
it.
the show at this point.
Yeah. What do you
Shante
Make
Ortega
a-
toasted. Graves toasted.
Yeah.
Benji toasted. There's a strong sentiment of toasted.
Shante Ortega says Togo's is fire. Yeah.
Togo's is fire. eBay says turkey bacon from the turkey belly. What? Turkey bacon? I can't go turkey bacon. That sounds too healthy.
Quiznos is great. Quiznos is pretty good sandwich.
Quiznos is going out of business. I think that Brady's
I
outlasting
can't go Quiznos. I can't go Quiznos. Isn't Quiznos open face?
No,
What the hell?
I
I
love-
don't need an open face. Give me a face. Stop with the open face. What about Jersey Mike's? Have you guys had Jersey Mike's?
Yeah, I like
I've had Jersey Mike's.
Mike's.
What's all that water they're sprinkling all over everything? What-
Yeah, I know.
Is that from Lourdes?
Yeah,
I mean, is that holy water? I mean,
I like how much ice cream.
seriously, how much fluid gets poured on a sandwich? I've watched those Jersey Mike commercials. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's like my sandwich stops by the swimming pool. it's a wet look. I mean, it's
Hey,
a.
Did
I
you
mean,
guys
seriously.
ever have? Did you ever have a Flaky Jake's hamburger?
Are you kidding me? I love Flaky Jakes.
Oh, those are good. Yeah, they're
There was a
bomb.
Flaky Jakes in Sacramento on Cadillac Drive.
Oh, there
opposite
was one
Sac
in
State.
San Bernardino.
Flaky Jakes is like a better version of
Russell J. He'll probably
that
remember
place?
that.
What's
It was
a
the
hamburger place that you can make all your stuff like that?
Have the counter.
Fuddruckers.
Not Fuddruckers. It's a better Fuddruckers.
Yeah, Flaky Jake's is really good. They got the best buns. They had one
It's a
in
little flaky.
San
Oh,
Bernardino.
Flaky
when I
Jakes
was
is
down
incredible.
there in
Flaky
the
Jakes is
80s, 90s.
amazing.
Oh,
I'll tell you
yeah.
a place you got to go if you ever up here. Kobe, Japan, in Pleasant Hill, is kind of a better version of Benihana.
What?
Do you guys like Benihana?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a human being.
Yeah, it's a better
Yeah.
Kobe, Japan, and Pleasant Hill. It's a better version of Benihana. And it's kind of like it's shameless how much they've stolen from Benihana. It's like it's exactly the same thing. I mean, they're giving you exactly the same thing, except it's just a little bit better.
Oh, he doesn't remember Flaky Jake's. I don't know if they're still there. They were right there off the 10 freeway.
I've never been to a
And,
Sonic either. I see those commercials with those two
Sonic's
annoying guys.
Not bad.
Oh, yeah.
Sonic's not bad.
Sonic?
Wiener
Sonic has
Wiener
much
Schnitzel I've
slippery.
been to.
Baker's is
Um,
good. They're in Southern California.
Have you ever been to Jim Boy's?
Oh my, Jim Boy's Tacos.
Yeah.
They're so greasy and good.
Oh, dang, that hamburger behind you, Rye. Why'd you do that?
I know.
Dang it. I'm like ready to get to bed here, and now you're getting me hungry. Dang,
How much-
that
how
looks
much-
like In and Out.
Can we get your wife to do the air fryer?
Yeah, 145.
It's only 143. If you just yelled upstairs and said, honey, I just want to get a few wings, what would she say right now? She'd be like, hell no, Dan. She'd be hell to the no.
I'm not going to do that to her.
I look at you. You're thinking about it.
Yeah,
I can see that look. I know that look.
No, I'm not.
I can see you're about to yell upstairs.
No, I
Get your carcass down here.
I have more respect for my wife than that.
Yeah.
Not gonna do that.
You know, it'd be better if you didn't even call her at all. If you just did it, you just took the initiative and started doing it, and she smelled it from upstairs and like came down, saw
Yeah.
you cooking.
Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah.
Oh my
Maybe
goodness.
smoke up the room, get the room nice and smoky. start opening the door and HOA comes down. All those ladies at the HOA with the problems with the holes in the ceiling. Why is Coach Emilio's house starting to smoke? You know what? Danny's going late night wings, and his wife normally cooks them. And he thought they were supposed to be on 600 degrees instead of 400.
Oh my goodness.
he burned up his neighbor. Oh man. Good shit. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Should we get out of here?
Yeah.
I mean, it is
Hey, wait a minute.
1:44.
Russell is 2 hours ahead of us. Where is he? Where are you calling from, Russell? Where are you living?
3:45, Russ. Where are you at?
He might be in
Wait,
Chicago.
Russ is in the Central Time Zone. I bet he's in maybe
let's see,
Wisconsin.
let's see if we can guess. You get one guess before he tells us. He's in Bismarck. I'm going to say he's around North Dakota.
No, I'm going to say Chicago. Chicago. Or suburb thereof.
The general Illinois area. I'll go with I actually don't know. I'm pretty bad with time.
There he is. There it is.
Bismarck, North Dakota. You didn't guess that. That's like Danny. That's like that game we played with Danny when we were cheating.
Yeah, you knucklehead.
Bismarck, North Dakota. That's a great guess.
So
It's a phenomenal guess. By the way, the most overrated, the worst fast food of all time, the worst thing you could ever put in your body after a night of drinking, White Castle hamburgers.
Oh, I've never actually done it.
The old saying, White Castle hamburgers only come in one size. They're like little ones. Yeah, but like it's like right? paint. It's like they paint it on the. It's like painted.
Yeah, it's a little square burger that's like
it's
about
foul.
2 inches by.
It is foul.
Yeah. Do you know they sell those at the frozen section of your grocery store?
That's the only time I've ever actually tried them.
Yeah,
they're terrible.
Yeah, they're quick.
Little onion
easy.
burgers.
Yeah. Is Russell? He's up there in North Dakota. Was he up there with? Were you up there with Trey when he was at?
This is Trey Lance's father.
I wonder if he was up there.
White Castle's disgusting. We're getting the common theme here.
Yeah, they're pretty.
Somebody's saying Taco Bell. If you got to go Taco Bell and you got to get one item, what are you going with? A regular taco?
No.
So to me, the regular tacos are pretty good. If you get like a side of olives and a side of onions and just load it up, go with the hot sauce.
Oh, so
he go regular tacos.
He was up there with Trey Lance.
Chalupa, maybe.
Chalupa. There you go.
That's what
Or gordita. I always get them confused. I like the one
with the chicken wrap.
The one that's like a quesadilla with the hard shell.
I'm gonna do a chicken quesadilla
with a chicken that the wrap is actually chicken.
Oh,
you put chicken in grilled chicken inside.
Yeah, wait. I actually might. I'm gonna make a grilled chicken quesadilla right after the show.
Do you put butter on the tortilla?
I put a little bit of just some general oil of some sort in the pan.
No little butter on the.
I'll put butter on the pan. I feel like sufficient.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to go butter his pan.
Cheesy gordita crunch is great.
My son loves any kind of cheese.
Any kind of cheese?
Pizzas, or
do you know how many different kinds of cheese there are?
Well, I mean with cheese.
Any kind of cheese?
Quesadillas, pizza.
You could have some like
brie.
Brie. It's like awful.
No. Macaroni cheese. Yeah, he's
macaroni and cheese. That's low grade garbage.
Well, I didn't mean the chalupa. I meant the gordita.
If you make the homemade,
do you like mac and cheese?
Me personally, no, I'm not a mac and cheese guy. But if you bake it,
I really don't like mac and cheese.
If you have baked, I've had baked macaroni and cheese where it's like, that's pretty good.
You get it. You
spicy wings. Spicy wings. Do you go blue cheese or ranch?
Ranch.
Now that I'd say there was a moment once I crossed like 25 when I became which is like a year and a half ago. I became a blue cheese guy.
Look at Russell.
What is
Fermunda cheese? Sounds like a family. Sounds like a family thing.
That sounds like an audible, like Fermunda, Sid 388, Fermunda.
That was really bad.
I
I
looked up what Fermunda cheese is. It's not.
What is it?
Not quite what you want.
Oh no.
Yeah, let's just say you got to go on Urban Dictionary.
Oh, Russell, why?
It refers to the inevitable buildup of a cheesy-like substance around a man's genitals.
That's a cottage cheese. Okay.
All right, that's enough.
Right on that.
You still want that quesadilla, right?
Al925 says, Larry, you're still alive? I took 2 naps already. The worst thing is I took 1. All right. All right, guys. That's going to do it for us.
49ers took 1 too for 3 hours.
Yeah, go Niners. Go Niners. Oh, wait a second. We got a donation here.
Oh, laughy face.
Russell. Look at that. Russell gets rude and crude, and then tries to make up with it with cartoons. You killed this live stream single-handedly, my friend.
Actually,
there is no emoji that will save. We get this one. Gilbert Arbalo. Guru wishes he worked overtime like you, Lair.
Yeah.
Goose coming on the show. I'm turning him. I'm going to turn him into a full-time YouTuber. Russell J. Oh, I'm not sorry. Oh, Russell.
Well, Goose coming on. Are you going to have him on like on the 49er post game with us, or?
Yeah, I was thinking, maybe just giving you a couple weeks off and maybe checking back with you in like week 6, and then let Goo kind of stretch his legs a little bit, see how he sounds and see how we all feel. Yeah, no, I'm just joking. No, but Goo said he'd like to come on, and he's a character. We love having him on.
Yeah, I
love going on with him. He's super funny.
He's funny. Yeah, he's funny.
Oh, I just got the whole joke.
He brings all the energy.
I think the joke is that the cheese is firm under these nuts.
No.
From under these.
Mark Graves to tell Goo not to wear the cowboy gear. He's a cowboy fan. He's got like 3 different cowboy jerseys. Oh, that's right. Tomorrow I'll probably be wearing one because they go Monday night.
Today.
The Cowboys own the Giants, and yet that spread's totally screwed up. It makes you wonder if it's just bet the Giants. The Cowboys have beaten the Giants like 9 of 10. Wow, and yet what's the spread?
Well, it's Pierce. It's Giants opened like favored by 3, I think, and it's been bet down. But is Parsons going?
He might not. They're saying he might not go.
I think Rye did pretty well today in fantasy. He scored. You did pretty good, Rye. Right? You won your.
Look at this. Here we go.
Thank God.
Larry,
I lost to Cup runneth over.
You got beat bad. You only scored like 77.
I scored 73.9 points, and he only scored 80.9 points.
Dang, where was that last time? I would have beat both of you, and I'm going to lose because Calba Kaminga had a big day.
Calba Kaminga.
I sat there yesterday and was like debating: do I go with Goff? Do I go with Brady? Do I go with Brady? Do I go with Goff? Brady had 14.74. I went with Goff. He had 14.88. Great. I got less than 1 point of advantage.
I picked up Russell Gage on waivers this week and started him.
How'd he do?
He got 18 points.
Wow, look at you.
Yeah.
You're a waiver monster.
I'm like Farhan on the waiver wires. You know what? I actually got to doing
Pablo?
this. I was picking up all these guys and doing all this, and I realized
Stewie Fairchild.
This is what Farhan loves to do. He's playing fantasy football with his baseball roster because why don't you
play Scott Harris? Why don't you call him and say, "Hey, I'm a season ticket holder, but you obviously need some help." And
maybe I could become the next GM.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You could be Scott Harris.
Can you get me in? I can do that.
You could.
Do you know that they brought up
Go
Shelby
to the
Miller?
meeting, every meeting, just be like, hey, I think we ought to get Trout.
You know, they brought up Shelby Miller the other night. He pitched pretty good.
He struck out 7 out of the pen. I was looking for that footage. What did it look like? Was he throwing hard?
I didn't see it, but he was throwing
throws hard.
96. But he was the 65th roster move and set a Giants record, beat last year of 64, and they gave him number 65. So he topped 65 roster. I mean, this guy just loves to just throw up anything and
maybe he likes to meet new people. Maybe at the end of the day, what's your philosophy? I like to meet new people. Oh, great. That's why our 25-man roster has 75 guys on it. All right, that does it. It's 3 hours and 42 minutes in, still almost 200 people in the room.
Oh,
but you know what we're going to call it?
I think we got Russell. Russell, can you wait? Signing off. Invite me sometimes, fella. 152. Okay, Russell is signing. I was going to see if we could get another $5 out of him. But,
Russell, appreciate you. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Have a great night. We'll do a lot more Niners in the next 24 hours. I'll watch the film again. We'll do a little breakdown. But hope you enjoyed the KRueG Show. Danny, Rye, have a phenomenal rest of your Sunday night.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle.